I didn't switch that tag and I should have, but I'll get it on the next one. We all just getting started here, so. This is interesting, E. We'll see how this works out. New topics. I'm glad to see that you finally made it back.
Back?
Yeah, you've been gone for like 4 weeks.
Well, I'm glad to be back, even though I felt like I was here last week, but I'm glad to be back.
That would be a negative. You were not here at all last week. How many shows did you do on your afternoon experiment last week?
I did two. I did Monday and Wednesday.
Oh, didn't feel like it. I think the people will probably side with me on that.
Well, everybody knows I had a show on Friday, so I had to do some things to prepare for that I wasn't expecting, and you know.
Oh, that's right. Ready for the world, and I mean, what's the name of the group?
Ready for the world. All right.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean ready for the world. I meant
you got one
rhythms.
coming. Oh, you got one coming for that.
I'm just saying. Y'all had a show Friday night. How did that work out?
The Color of Rhythm, we performed at Mount Healthy's concert series. We kicked off their summer concert series. And I mean, it was all right. It was all right. I see, you know, the voice. I had some issues with my voice.
Oh, here we go.
Like
after issues.
After the first song took me out. The first song took me out vocally.
So, you went one song on a 2.5 hour set?
One song. And I mean, I fought through it. You know, I fought through it. That's what you do.
Was it choppy? Was it kind of, I mean, you felt bad on it? I mean, you didn't feel good delivering the vocals?
I did not feel good delivering vocals. I needed a little help. So the young lady Peachy who sings with me, she helped me out on those notes that I just couldn't hit because I didn't have a voice to. She helped me out. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Well, I don't think she had a problem with that. You know, she probably stepped in front and took on the show.
She really did. She really did. Like,
what's her name?
Peachy. Peachy.
Excuse me? Peachy?
Yes.
Okay, Peachy. Okay.
Yeah, that's what she goes by. Now, her real name, she might not want me giving out her government name, but her real name is
Jacqueline. I don't think you should do that. That's lightweight snitching.
Her real name is Jacqueline, and she was a trooper. Like, she took over the show and, you know, did a whole lot. But it was fun. We had a ball. But I always have a good time when I'm out there. I always have a good time.
So, did it go 2 hours or what? How long did y'all do it?
Yeah. We went just a little over, and they had to tell us like, "Hey, cut it." You know, time is up.
Oh, they had to let y'all. Oh, so y'all was handling your business then.
Well, that's what. Yeah.
No, I mean, I'm just saying. You know. So, what did you do? Go back to the background and sing? Is that you had to hold down the background since you couldn't really hold the front? I mean, you know what I'm saying. You couldn't.
Yeah, for the most part, yeah. I sang background on her stuff, and so yeah, that's what I had to do, and it was cool, you know. So when it was time for us to go, somebody had requested Purple Rain, so we hit the Purple Rain, hit the
Purple Rain.
Yeah. I do all right. I do all right with that.
I'm just. Are y'all on YouTube or anything? Y'all have any other shows on YouTube?
There's some videos. There are some videos out there. They exist. Yeah.
I think I'm gonna pull y'all up before I get out there and start.
We a few years ago, actually, I guess the year that Prince died, they did a Purple Rain, I mean a Prince tribute at Juneteenth.
Mm.
And so yeah, we did a few Prince tunes and closed that out. And of course, they
That sounds
requested
fun.
that we close out that with Purple Rain as well. And so, yeah.
That sounds fun, bro. That sounds fun. I'm not even gonna front. I was hoping that you were gonna be able to make it because of your voice. You know, you were struggling the last couple of weeks, not to mention the weeks before that kept you off the air. I mean, you were really, really not sounding good.
Yeah,
And I
we,
know
we
you worried a little bit about that up and coming date. So I'm glad you were able to work through it. You know,
yeah, we fought through it. We fought through it.
that's
How
good.
how how did things go with you? I know last Monday we were scheduled to do this,
Yeah.
and you couldn't be there, and I didn't want to share your information,
That's
with,
okay.
with
I
people.
appreciate it. But I put it on Facebook on my page, and I put the information in bottles and balloons, and I let them up in the air so anybody that would catch it, and when it fall, I want everybody to know my business because I'm a proud father of a daughter that's been accepted to medical school. So what happened was I couldn't make it last Monday because I went to a presentation up at Ohio State University in their medical division, and my daughter received her white coat. Now she's young. She's just graduating college. What a lot of people didn't understand who knew me was how did she just graduate and get a white coat? And that white coat situation, all that stuff is new to me too. I didn't know a year ago that you receive a white coat when you're getting in medical school. Okay. And that's just to give you some type of clearance or make you feel official. And
Yeah.
then once you graduate, medical school, you get a much longer white coat. That's how that works. So I'm new to this. I'm from down the way. So I don't really know all the procedures. All this doctor stuff is fairly new to me. So I'm learning as well. So those that ask me the questions, I tried to deliver that like on Thursday of last week or maybe even Friday. Try to let everybody know how that process works. But yeah, my daughter, I'm super proud of her, and she was accepted, and we went up to Ohio State and did the ceremony with the white coat, and it was during the day. So I'm a happy, proud father for that. So there it is.
Oh, that's hot. That's hot. Well, I mean, I knew you had told me, but I don't share other
I
people's information.
appreciate you not being a snitch. A snitch on some good news. Appreciate that. You're a stand-up guy.
You brought up Father's Day.
Yeah.
Father's Day was yesterday. How was your Father's Day?
I was going to ask you that, but my Father's Day was great. I mean, I have no complaints. I'll be honest with you. I'm a little different on Father's Day. I don't really celebrate Father's Day. I'll let my children do what they do to feel good about the day. It's supposed to be honoring the dad. It's supposed to be doing all that, right? But I'm going to be honest with you and tell you the reason why I don't celebrate Father's Day is because I don't like receiving gifts for doing things that I'm supposed to do anyway. You understand what I'm saying? Like,
I do.
I don't feel my children owe me anything for doing what I'm supposed to do as a father. Now, some will be like, "Oh, Wyatt, you tripping?" And I'm like, "No, I'm not really tripping. It's just that my kids will go out of their way. My wife, they all will go out of their way. Like we went to dinner, or excuse me, we went to lunch. I paid like I always do, and they didn't like that. I asked for small things. I just want socks. I don't need you to buy me something that's that's gonna kill your budget or whatever. I'm a real simple dude. I'm a blessed man. I have everything in the world that I want. Everything. I'm the hardest guy in the world to get something for because I'm a simple dude. I don't need a lot. So now, how was your Father's Day?
Believe it or not, I'm kind of the same. Of course, I went to church, did the two services, came home before I even woke up. My daughter had called me and left me a message. She always asked me in advance, Daddy, what do you want for Father's Day? And I always tell her the same thing, and she gets so mad. Tell her, just give me some t-shirts. Just give
T-shirts.
me some.
Yeah, there you go.
Go to Walmart or Target or wherever you want to go. Give me a set of what? They come in a pack of 3. Give me 3 wife beaters and I'm good. And she's always like, she's like, Daddy, I want to get you something. Tell me what you want. I'm like, if you want to get me something, give me whatever you want to get me. But if you asking me what I want, give me some t-shirts. Because I'm with you. I don't need you spending your money on me. I'm good. Like I'm good.
Right.
And it
Yeah.
frustrates the heck out of her. But every year, that's what I tell her I want. And she get so mad. And then, of course, I got home and she was like, well, what are you doing? I want to take you to dinner. And Mrs. Livingston was like, I want to take you to dinner. And,
Right.
Mrs. Livingston ended up winning. So Mrs. Livingston took me to dinner. So then she's supposed to be taking me to dinner tonight. They could have both took me to dinner, but they want to take me like, cause she want to pay. And then they would be both there arguing about who get to pay, and they won't let me pay. So, but I mean, it's all good. I appreciate being a father. I'm with you. You don't owe me nothing. You don't owe me nothing. You was a good kid, and you appreciate me as a father all the time. So that's all I need. That's all I need. Seeing her succeed, like when she told me I'm going back to school, that was Father's Day for me. Like, good.
Exactly.
You're finally going to do what I told you to do years ago. You're finally going to do what it is that you want to do. And to me, that makes me happy. So, yeah.
I mean, we're on the same page on that one, brother. I just feel like if they stay out of trouble, get good grades, do the things they're supposed to do, that shows a lot to me. It means I've done my job. It also means that they have, they're satisfying anything I can ever want. They can't buy me a gift that would be better than them just taking care of their business and being successful. That's the gift right there.
But
okay, go ahead.
With that being said, I did see some of them Father's Day posts. Happy Father's Day to all the mothers. And happy Father's Day to all the real fathers out there doing things, and to the mothers doing. It used to bother me. But on Mother's Day, I did it. I put out a Mother's Day post, and sisters was mad. Like, how dare you?
The reverse.
Thank fathers who stood in for mothers. And I was like, you're going to see it on Father's Day. It's been happening for Father's Day for how many years? Ain't nobody been mad. So don't be mad, because there are single fathers out here raising their kids. The mother ain't helping. So if we can wish single moms a happy Father's Day, we can wish single fathers a happy Mother's Day. But I do have to say, men who have children, step up and take care of your kids.
Absolutely.
We the community, we the society, we need you, because being a father is really, really important for boys and for girls. Like, somebody, well, it's even more important for boys. It's even more important for girls. No, it's important to both of them, having that interaction, learning from a father. And there's a lot of men out there who don't do what they supposed to do. And we need y'all to do what y'all supposed to do.
Yeah. Well, I kind of agree with that. Well, I agree with it, but I also think that it's more important. I know this is going to sound kind of crazy, but I think it's more important for a father to be in a girl's life.
Hold on, why? Hold on a second. Before you go any further, can we give out the number for people to call?
Oh yeah, heck, why not? Let me pull it up. I'll put it up on both sides. Can you put yours up as well, or can you call it, shout it out, or what?
I can say I can't put nothing up, man. You got control of everything.
Okay, my apologies. What I'll do is I'll get a
up there says Wyatt-Live 5 p.m. drive home.
Where's that at?
It's at the top of my screen.
Oh, that must have been what I was saying we need to change, man. I mean, like when I came on, I was like, I seen it up there. I'm like, I thought I changed it. Well, we under construction, bro. We still doing what we need to do. We need to get it together. That's my folks.
I'm still trying to get you back for Ready for the World. So just so you know. Everything.
Well, I got plenty of those in me. I got plenty of those in me, brother. Hey, trust me. I got some hot old school titles or some singing groups that you may not be ready for. So,
but the number, of course, you got the number What's that? 310-0546.
Yeah,
And
area code 513.
and you can call area code 513-717 King.
Okay.
513-717 King. It's another way that you can get on live on the King and I.
I'm gonna put the number up again. Just I'll let it ride on the screen for a little while. They can either call me direct or they can call your line direct. And if they want to participate, either line, both lines are open. That kind of gives us two lines. That's kind of slick, though. I like that. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? You're
But
from
you
the world of having like caller number 8. Well, that ain't over here. We can't do caller number 8 and all that shit. We can't do that. So
but you
we're
were about
caller
to
number 1, caller number 2.
you were about to say something about fathers and
Oh, yeah. Let me start it off because this is probably gonna rattle some people the wrong way, but I'm known for doing that. I personally, now this I could be a little biased, but I have my reasoning for this. I believe fathers are more important to be in a young lady's life than they are a man's life. I know how important it is for a father to be in a little man's life, for a guy's life. I know. But I think with some of the things we got going on in our world right now, brother, I just think that it's detrimental for daddies to be in their daughter's life. Because
you mean
daughters, I'm sorry.
you mean it's detrimental for fathers not to be in their daughter's life.
Yes, I'm sorry. I'm saying it's detrimental for fathers not to be in their daughter's life.
Yeah.
And I just feel like that kind of that's a little bit more of a I don't know. I think that's a little it's a neck and neck race, okay? But I just think a father has to be in his daughter's life for a whole lot more change to happen. Now, you can have a man in a son's life and he could install all the influence that a man has, could be a great man, make him a great man. But that don't mean he won't make mistakes and choose a woman that has not been raised properly. We see that all the time. We see men being with women that's not raised right and vice versa. But I think that if women look up to a man, it should be their father first. And that would have more of an influence on how that woman selects her mate down the line. That's just my opinion.
I agree with that. And I think that's very important in terms of the woman selecting her. I don't think people give enough power to that. When we talk about fathers who are not there for their children, yeah, 98%, maybe not that much, but a whole lot of that responsibility goes to that man who's not there for his children. But there is a lot of responsibility that goes to the woman who chose that man. Because a lot of times, women, y'all know that y'all choosing a no good dude to spend time with, to be intimate with. And you know, if you're being intimate with him, particularly unprotected, you know that you can end up pregnant. And if you already know he got 3 kids that he don't do nothing for, he don't take care of, he got 3 kids that don't know who he is, that don't know their other brothers and sisters, you know when he gets you pregnant, he ain't gonna take care of yours. He ain't gonna be there for yours. But you still look past everybody else, all of the good dudes that's out there, you overlook them, and you sometimes it feel like you seeking out the worst possible mate that you could find. Like, okay, he got 4 kids, he don't take care of them, he beat up 3 of the baby mamas, he done spent time in jail for that, blah blah blah. I think he'll be a good man. You know, I don't understand why y'all do that and then want to look and complain and whine and gripe and be like, well, he ain't doing nothing for my baby. What did you think was gonna happen? Y'all got to make better choices because and I don't think that enough people, if women decided that they wanted to get with dudes with dirty shoes and dirty collars, guess what? Brothers would be walking around with dirty and dirty collars because brothers won't sisters. If you said, I want to kick it with a dude to ride a moped, then guess what dudes would be doing? Dudes will be out buying
mopeds.
mopeds.
That's right.
Y'all the ones who got the power when it comes to that. And you ladies, y'all can shape. Oh, it's a lot of responsibility to put on our shoulders. I didn't put the responsibility on y'all shoulders, and y'all already know y'all got that power. Y'all take it and use it to y'all advantage, which I'm not saying is a bad thing, but use that power for good. Use that power for good.
I agree.
Raise the standard. Y'all can raise the standard just by deciding who gets some.
I totally agree. And that's why I say it's more important that the woman, that the little girl has the influence before the man, because, you know, later on down the life, later on down, the young man can make adjustments. You know what I'm saying? He can make adjustments to what a woman wants. He can try to mold himself into what a woman actually wants, versus, you know, a woman not understanding how to treat a man, or, you know what I'm saying? Like it's a little tougher rebound for a woman to bounce back being in the wrong position at that, in those type of situations. A guy is we're gonna pursue. So when we have to make, you know, adjustments, I would rather it be an adjustment like, okay, she wants a guy who's going to tuck his shirt in, or she wants a guy who's going to do these things. And that young man could make those adjustments to get that woman.
Hey, Wyatt, all right, now, are we just going to take calls as they come in?
Yeah, that's cool if that's what you want to do.
All right, I got a call coming in.
Is that line number 1 or is that line number 2?
We're going to call this line number 2.
Okay.
Caller, you're on the King and I podcast.
Hey, good afternoon. Is this Wyatt and Manuel Samuels?
I agree with the caller already. He is being Samuels. What's the dude name?
His name was Kevin Samuels, and he was brilliant, and he was helping our community.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, I wanted to agree with both of you actually on, you know, saying that, you know, father, you know, is very important, especially in a young lady's life. Yeah, I don't know if you guys have seen that video now on YouTube and everywhere else that's called F Dinga Free. I guess I better say it like that. Have you guys seen that video?
What is it called again?
It's called F N-word Free.
No, I haven't.
It's essentially a
give
video.
us something on it. Let us know. What is it?
It's a video of a bunch of young girls. Most of them look like they're teenage, and they talking about that. You know, I don't want no dinga. You know, but essentially talking about they got children with them. One girl is in there pregnant, twerking and carrying on, but they N-word free is what they're talking about. And that's one area where I think a father, if they know, can help guide their daughter so that they're not influenced by those type of dudes and then turn into those type of young ladies. You know, so the fathers definitely can set the standard in order to help, you know, with guide their lives. And essentially, you know, the fathers date their daughters first, so that when some dudes step up and it ain't up to their standard, then they like, oh no, you know, you keep on moving. You know, you gonna have your pants sagging and everything else. Nah, I'm good. So that's extremely important. I definitely agree with you guys on that.
That's a good point, caller. That's a good point.
What's your name, caller?
This is Brent.
Oh, Brent
in Dallas.
This is Brett?
Yeah,
What's up, Brett from Dallas? How you doing, brother?
Oh, not a problem. Hey, I love the interaction between you two. You know, the King and I, you know, that's a good name, but I tend to favor the King and the Chaos Agent. I think
Wait a minute, hold on. You got it mixed up, Brett. I'm not the Kang, and I sure the hell. I mean, come on, we got to get. You got it backwards. What with that? I mean, is Emmanuel the Kang, or is he the Chaos Agent in there?
He's the King of talk. And that's what he should have got at his telephone number, but you know, it's probably taken, but that's all right.
The Kang. Okay. So I guess that makes me the Chaos Agent.
Yeah, it's all in love, all in jokes. You know, I appreciate both of you brothers and what you do. You come from different perspectives. I may not agree with each of what you say, but hey, you out there doing your thing and you're keeping it positive, which and you can take a joke, which is good.
I like you now,
And
Brett. I never liked you until just now. I'm just kidding, brother. I love you. I love your interaction.
No, it's good.
Everything about
I learned a long time ago, if you can't take a joke, you shouldn't throw jokes. So it's all good.
That's true, brother. Hey, man, right. I appreciate you. Thank you.
All right. Hey, you guys have a good day.
You do the same.
You too, brother.
All right.
So somebody said I'm yelling in the microphone. My apologies. We getting sound checks and all that. E-Man, do you have another caller? Because I got one on line 1.
Well, let's go to it.
Good evening, caller. Welcome to the King and I. This is Wyatt and Emmanuel. How can we help you? What's good today?
What up, Wyatt-Live? What up, Emmanuel Livingston? This is Wyatt-Live's West Coast Connection, the one and only Drop Squad 52, also known as the Black, not Democrat. It's time for y'all Negroes to start arguing. I'm tired of this. Yeah, I agree with you, Wyatt. Yeah, man, hell no. Your show has a parental advisory sticker on it. So let's get this shit going.
So you want us to argue?
Go ahead, Wyatt.
You want us to argue?
Hell yeah, I love confrontation. And Emmanuel Livingston, he knows who I am.
Well, we don't. I mean, do we have to argue to get our point across, or you just want us to debate a little? You talking about the debate? The debate.
Yeah. Okay. You could turn it down a little bit. You could soften up the rhetoric.
All right.
You could call it a debate, but I want to see y'all argue, and that's why I love the concept, because both of you guys had sync shows with no co-hosts and nothing. But E-Man, every now and then, he would have his producer talk. But anyway, E-Man, you know who I am, don't you?
No.
Stop it. If you know who Glenn from Mason is, if you know who Politically Petty is, you know who Drop Squad 52 is. But anyway, that's beside the point. This is the topic I'm throwing on the table for both of you gentlemen. January 6th committee hearings and the political circus and the full-on display of desperate Democrats and 2 rhinos. E-Man, Wyatt, both of y'all need to tell me and the people that's listening, shout out to Brent down in Texas or Atlanta, wherever he at, but it's time for y'all to clear this up right now, that this whole committee is nothing other than trying to take Trump voters away from the Republican Party. It's almost like this is the 3rd impeachment of Donald Trump. Now, E-Man, you remember, Donald Trump was acquitted 2 weeks before Joe Biden was inaugurated. And he was acquitted. So, well, E-Man.
Hold on, but and what's your name again?
Drop Squad 52.
All right, Drop Squad. When you say he was acquitted, you might have some validity if it was a court of law. But when you're talking about, it is strictly a political process. So when people are doing nothing but voting on party lines, I don't know that saying he was acquitted carries any weight. He was not removed.
It does. Hold on, Emmanuel. You are supposed to be a powerful, influential member of the media. And you know good and well that an impeachment hearing is an official. It's official, bro. Okay? That's what they said at the end. The president was acquitted of the impeachment charges.
It's official. Okay? He was not removed from office.
It's no if and but. They charged him with a crime of sedition because they said that he made the people not burn down, but destroy the Capitol. Wyatt?
Yeah, but
Nancy
wait a minute.
Pelosi, Speaker of the House, felt that it was necessary to make sure that Donald Trump could not run for office again because the man received 75 million votes, the most ever. You hear that, Emmanuel? The most.
Well, hold on. Wait.
For an incumbent president.
Wait a minute. The most ever? When was this?
This was in 2020 election.
Did he lose that
It
election?
was in 2020 versus Joe Biden.
So
didn't
I don't.
Trump
he
received
lose
the
that
most
election?
votes.
Didn't he lose? That means
That's
Joe
not the
Biden
point.
received
Why? I'm
the
explaining.
most votes
E-Man, I'm explaining to you, sir,
Well,
why
when
this
you say
hearing,
things like he got the
January
most votes
6th, is
ever,
nothing more
and
than a
he
third
lost.
impeachment. They fear Donald Trump because of the support that he gets from the Republican Party, which are made up of your fellow American citizens.
Well, hold on. Let me be clear about this, Drop Squad, because this is important. You said that he received the most votes ever, but he lost that election,
No,
which means
I said the most votes as a sitting incumbent president ever received.
That wasn't what you said, so that might have been what you meant. So we'll just roll with that. But what does that have to do with January 6th? These hearings they're political theater, sure, but they could be setting up a real legal process because Merrick Garland, the Attorney General, he says that he and the Department of Justice, they're watching these, and they really are laying out a good case against Donald Trump and some of those people around him to be charged with an actual crime.
If they, E-Man, if they committed crimes, they would be part of the 800 plus people who were down at the Capitol and were charged with misdemeanors and a few felonies.
No, not necessarily.
Okay? Because again, you got to remember, an impeachment is about high crimes and misdemeanors. Nancy Pelosi and other desperate Democrats said it out of their lips that the reason they impeached a president who was leaving office in 2 weeks because they did not want a man like him to run for office because they saw the record-breaking number of Americans who voted for Donald Trump. And most of those votes were walk-up, showing up at the polling place and voting, as opposed to the Democrats and Joe Biden, who broke all records with 80 million. 90% of the Democrat votes in that election were by mail. Mr. Emmanuel Livingston, also known as the King. So I'm gonna hang up because I could take over the show. Wyatt-Live, he know how I roll. And Emmanuel Lewis, quit faking the funk and acting like you don't know who I am.
Wait a minute. Can I get a word in?
I've been waiting for this. I wish I could see your
I
face.
actually
I'm gonna have to turn on YouTube.
I actually think Drop Squad 52 Emmanuel agreed with you at some point. At the beginning.
No, he didn't.
Yes, he did. He said that he does see this as being somewhat of theater. Yes, he did say that, Drop.
Yeah, but he didn't say that the purpose hearing of this circus was to damage the man who got 75 million votes.
Well, I'm not sure that that's what the purpose is, or that's the sole purpose. I think that is part of the purpose, sure. But I think the other part of the purpose is to, it's one of those things where you have to create an atmosphere where people's minds are open to things that they hadn't considered. And so I think a part of the purpose of this is to create an atmosphere where you can just flat out show the facts that this is what happened, because there's no appetite for it. Like, Democrats are looking at it from this political standpoint. One of the things that we don't want to be in America is a country where if I win, I punish the person who I ran against because he's in the other party. We don't want to be that here in America. And so they don't want to look like that's what they're doing. And even though I believe they have a great case against Donald Trump for sedition, they don't want to pursue it necessarily until they've primed the pump, so to speak, until they've laid out the facts. And polls are showing that even Republicans are beginning to look at this and look at the facts and say, yeah, he did some bad stuff. Yeah, he might have been partially responsible for that. And you have to do that. That's why when Barack Obama was elected, he couldn't just do all of this stuff that he wanted to do for, say, gay marriage. He couldn't just come out and say, gays are great, I love them, and they should be allowed to get married. he had to come
He
out.
had Joe Biden do it. He
I
had
was
Joe
gonna
Biden
say
do
Joe
it.
Biden lightweight filling in
Right,
that
but-
blank, but go ahead.
But he had to come out and talk about it and say, I'm not sure how I feel about that. And then say, oh, my feelings are beginning to change on that. And then say, oh, well, you can love who you want to love. And then we were able to say, well, gay people can get married. You can't just hardcore do this stuff. And that is what the Democrats and 2 Republicans are doing right here. They know there's not the appetite to for the country, in particular the Republican Party, to look at the facts and say Donald Trump was wrong. So they have to very slowly feed you the information so that it's safe to view things through a different lens.
But okay, I'm getting ready. I'm getting ready to go because I know it's a lot more people want to get in on this. But E-Man, you got to remember, sir. You got to remember, in politics, everything is about timing.
Yeah.
The committee chose now to come out with their findings, and right now it's primary season. Okay, you got progressive Democrats going against mainstream Democrats. Okay, it's a conflict within the Democrat Party. So the Democrats know that the only hope they have, because I don't even want to bring up how bad Joe Biden is, but the Democrats know, based on what happened in 2020 in the Republican Party, because you got to remember, E-Man, the Republicans picked up seats in the House. And if it wasn't for that dumbass move that Trump did by telling people in Georgia not to vote, Ossoff and Warnock probably would not be in the Senate, and the Republicans are the Senate. But all I'm saying, Emmanuel, that everything is timing. They chose to come out with these findings, and it's all one-sided. They're hoping that the DOJ is going to file charges, but we know they're not, because I'm going to tell you, their track record has not been good. Because if you remember those men in Michigan who were charged with a crime of going to kidnap the governor of Michigan, and they lost the case, E-Man. The feds lost that case because they had FBI informants basically doing the plot. And they got these picks up there to go along with it because they was just following these FBI informants. They lost the case, E-Man. So I'm telling you right now, this whole thing is trying to get Republicans to turn on their party and Donald Trump. That's it.
All right. Can I ask you one quick question before you go? Super quick. Do you believe that Donald Trump is even partially responsible for what happened on January 6th?
Of course he is. And so did Nancy Pelosi, who was in charge of security at the Capitol. They knew that this was coming, and they left it wide open intentionally, because you got to listen, E-Man, this is political strategy, brother. They knew that these people were coming. FBI had informants in with the Proud Boys, in with QAnon. They had people infiltrated in these organizations. They knew something was going to pop off, but the mayor of DC, the Speaker of the House, the Sergeant at Arms, turned down the request from the White House to have security available after the president's speech at the Ellipse. That was over 100,000 supporters. They knew this was going to happen, and they left it wide open, man. So on that note, if you don't know, now you know. Drop Squad 52. Drop in science to anyone who wants to catch it. Shout out to the King and I.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Squad.
That was a lateral movement. Hey, did I mention Father's Day this weekend to you? Did I ask you how your Father's Day was? I didn't know I was going to have to talk about them today. I wasn't feeling Trump and all that shit. Y'all know I don't do politics, man. I don't really do politics.
Mr. Squad had a area that he wanted to go in, and that's where he went. But
he wanted us to argue, and I'm like, wait a minute, hold on, let me get in my argument mode. Let me get rhythm up. I can't just come out I don't come out in round one and just be ready to throw, knockout blows. I gotta feel the ring. I got to feel my, I got to feel what's going on. I'm not on the politics right this minute. I was geared up to talk about something different. You and I, we can jump into that if you want to, or we can get back on schedule.
I say let's get back on schedule. And look, I'm gonna tell you, and I'm gonna tell
that
everybody
was your
else,
caller.
I'm not arguing just for the sake of arguing, bro. If I agree with you, I agree with you. That's how I get down. If you right, you right. Now, there's a few things that I know you to be wrong about, but we'll get to those when those come up.
All right, let's leave them right there. Let's not, let's just leave it alone for now without prejudice, which means we can get back to it sooner or later one day. How about that?
All right.
All right. So, how was your Father's Day?
My Father's Day was good. It was good. And
okay.
And
I had to get the popcorn, bro. I had to get the popcorn. It was getting, I thought you was about to get at it. I thought you was about to, rah, all that.
But we were talking about the women making better choices.
Yeah.
That's what we were talking about. Women making better choices, and how I believe that that's exceptionally important.
Yeah, I think so too. I'm not being biased because I have 2 daughters. Okay, I'm just being honest that I know how important it is to have to be a role in my daughter's lives. Okay, I know that they can't bring home a certain kind of guy. Okay, that it's just not gonna happen. I set the precedent. Your caller called in and said something that was very important. I remember watching a video on YouTube or maybe on Facebook, those TikToks or whatever. And it was something to the regards of this guy who, it was creepy at first, but hear me out. He gave his daughter a diamond ring, almost like he was proposing to her. Now, this, like I said, it sounds a little creepy, but what he was saying was, I don't want you to be impressed by certain things. I want daddy to be first, you know what I mean, with certain things in life. And I don't want you to be easily influenced or easily impressed by some of these guys. It was a deep little small 5-second, maybe a minute video that lost me at first, but I gave it a shot. And I'm like, it didn't start out right. It didn't start out real good, but then it got better as he explained what the hell he was doing. He gave his daughter a diamond ring, and he was just basically saying, these are the things that you should be expecting. You should expect the commitment like I gave your mom. You should expect the man in your life to do and deliver certain things. And those are the things that I feel are precedent in our little girls' lives, because if they get that at an early age, they expect it later on. That's just one of the rules that I live by.
All right, yeah, that do seem a little creepy, but I get the point. It's like, me, I tell, and I used to, and I still do tell my daughter she's beautiful, so that some dude saying you beautiful and she not mesmerized by that. I tell that little baby that too, my granddaughter. I tell her that she's beautiful, because I don't want some dude to just be able to come up and sweet talk them, out the drawers and sweep them off their feet and all of that kind of stuff, just with simple things, because they never got it. So yeah, I understand the principle. I didn't propose to my daughter or give her
no, it wasn't really a proposal. It wasn't a proposal that the young man did. It was more like it looked like a proposal because he gave the boxed ring, and it was her first diamond in the world. And he said, I want to make sure that daddy gives you your first diamond. I want you to be able to expect certain things, but I don't want you to be overly impressed by things, because you know how it is when a guy do something that a daddy never did for a daughter. You got to be careful. It's about building your daughter's self-esteem, allowing them to understand who they are and making them important to themselves first before some guy come along and fake and make you believe that you're more important. They build you up to tear you down. And it's a very harsh manipulation that some guys know how to do.
Yeah, that's very true. Very true. And so I think that's important. I would have to see the video, because
it started out real rocky, but I understood once he started talking. I didn't like the approach. I didn't like him, getting there. Like, he almost damn near got on a knee And I didn't understand it. And this was a young lady. She was probably maybe 12 or 13, but I understood the fatherly love. I understood the premise behind what he was doing, and it made sense once he started talking. He went into a speech, and he made it make a whole lot of sense, bro. But I probably would have done it a little bit different. And I've tried it, not that, but I've tried being able, as a father of 2 daughters, I've tried to provide for my girls where it wouldn't be so much of a big deal if some man come along and want to try to impress them. You know, it's just certain things that we have to learn to pass on to our children so they won't be mesmerized when some no good person come around, or they recognize goodness in heart, goodness in heart.
I want to ask you a question.
Sure.
Because I want to transition to something else. But before I do that, I got to ask you this. You know who you are. You know who you've been. You know what you've done. You know everything about you. Would you want your daughter to bring home a man just like you?
Great question. I'm not perfect. I have my flaws, but damn, I can't answer that question without sounding like I'm hyping myself. But I know who I am. I know I've been married for 20 plus years. I know that I provide for my family. I know that I would never take no for an answer when it came down to putting my family first. I know all the things I've done to sacrifice. But at the same time, I know my flaws. I know that I'm not a perfect individual. But if my daughter got with a man like me, I would try to make her understand he's not going to be perfect. I think a real man wants his daughter to be with someone like him. So I don't want to big myself up or anything, because it's a great question. But I would have to say, if I had to say yes or no, I would say yes. Even though I know I have my flaws, I know who I am, I know what I've done in the past, I know no one's perfect. And I don't think a woman will ever find a perfect man. I just don't think that exists. I don't think there's a perfect man nor a perfect woman out there.
Okay. Just curious.
What's your answer? You want your daughter to be with a man like you?
Well, from the perspective of relationship, absolutely. And I mean, just like me. I wanted to be with a dude that ain't gonna do nothing to harm her. Always got her and his family in his best interest at heart. That's not gonna deceive. That's gonna do everything that he can do to make sure that they have what they need and pour into the. Yes, exactly like me. Yes. Now some of the other stuff, like you said, I got a flaw.
Sure.
I have one, and I don't want her. Just one, and I don't want her
just
with
one.
somebody with that particular flaw. Maybe, but that's kind of personality type stuff. But in terms of a relationship, if she finds a man who feels about relationships like I feel about relationships, she gonna be good. So
yeah, that makes sense. Someone says I would want my daughter to be with a man better than me. I mean, I can relate to that. I mean, there are men that, of course, are better than me because they may not have that same few flaws that I have. And I would never discredit, or I would never say that it's not possible to be better than myself. Because if you really think about it, the first thing I look at it again, if my daughter was to bring someone home, the first thing I look at are the things that are not familiar with me, that I don't do. You see what I'm saying? So if I'm gonna look, I'm not looking at how he's like me. You know what I mean? I'm looking at how he's not, the things that just don't work for me. So I mean, I could see somebody saying, I could see somebody saying that they want a man better than them. Maybe they know they ain't shit. You know what I mean? Maybe they know that they have more flaws. And I don't mean that particular person. I'm just saying there's some people that would say, I want a man for my daughter better than me, because that individual knows all the things that they have done and they don't want to see their daughter go through the things that their woman went through.
And again, when I'm asking that question, I'm talking relationship wise. I'm talking
Okay.
about dealing in the relationship, the way that you deal with your spouse, or the way that you view relationships. Would you want your daughter to bring home a man who views relationships the way that you view relationships? But because I could imagine if there's some dudes out there smacking a woman around who wouldn't have a problem with their daughter. They would be one of those dudes. What did you do to make him smack you?
Right.
I wouldn't want that for my daughter, but
no, that's the way I seen it. I mean, when you asked the initial question, it was more pertaining to the relationship side of it. And even in my relationship, I mean, there's flaws. There were flaws, especially you're talking 20 plus years I've been with my wife. So it's almost impossible not to have. I've always said this, to be honest with you, E. I've always said any man and woman that's together and just like, if they're like super duper happy, I mean, like you don't see any chinks in their armor, somebody's not happy. I mean, there's something going on there, bro. I just don't know who's completely happy unless you just get used to what you're going through. No, I don't mean it like that. I mean, like,
no,
I don't want to put you on blast now. I'm just saying I'm not happy with everything that goes on.
I think I know what you mean, but I will say this, and when I say this, people think I'm trying to be. I've been with my wife. Here's one of my. I don't remember the exact number of years because my brain don't work.
See, that's your problem right there. I bet you she don't know you don't know.
But yeah, she know. But we've been together for what, 11, 12 years, something like that. And I promise you, I'm not making this up. We've not had an argument. Not one. Not one. In the contemporary, I guess, sense of what an argument is, her screaming at me, "Are you sleeping on the couch?" or any of that nonsense. Like we don't agree on some stuff, but when we don't agree, she real good for telling me you don't have to agree. I don't have no problem with you not agreeing, and we move on because we kind of focus on where we agree and what's best. My aunt told me this many years ago. And she was married. I couldn't even tell you how many years she was married to Uncle Mac before he passed away. And she said, "Me and your uncle have never had an argument." I didn't believe her. And she said, "But this is the reason why." She said, "I function under this premise. Everything he do, everything he say is my good is in it. His intentions are always good towards me. So even if he missed the mark, if he says something that kind of hurt my feelings, I know he wasn't intending to hurt my feelings. And so instead of being all offended, I just tell him that hurt my feelings. And then I know he won't say that again, or he won't do that again." But she said, that's the premise that I function under, is that everything that he does is intended for my good. And if he missed the mark, I let him know he missed the mark. So we don't have to argue.
No, that makes sense.
That's the way that I function. And I know that's the way everything I do. I never want to do something to hurt her feelings. I never want to do something to put her in a bad situation. I never want to do something, even just to irritate her, unless it's, for me having fun, irritating her. I never want to do anything like that. And I express that to her. So if I do, she says, I didn't like that. And I say, why? And she tells me, and either I explain what I was doing, or I say, well, I won't do that again. So from that perspective, we've never had an argument. So I'm very happy.
Well, yeah, I guess I should. Maybe I painted that with a broad brush. I didn't mean like aren't happy. I meant like whenever you're in a relationship and your wife agrees with everything, everything that you do.
Oh, yeah,
I find that to be a situation where she's just being submissive, and she's probably not happy. Some people are happy making you happy. Maybe that, I'm 20 plus years in, bro, and I've slept on the couch. I've had arguments because when you meet someone and you're at a young age, those things are going to happen early. There's a whole lot less of that at the age that we are now, because you learn to cope, you learn to deal with those different things that we see in life, and we tend to get on the same page a lot easier now. But I've made that comment on Wyatt-Live before about I've never really seen a couple like super happy. And I guess it takes some time to get to the point where you're super happy. I don't know if it's happiness or if it's just contentness of being okay with who you're with. I don't know. I don't know, because I would have to say I'm happy, but there are things that I do just, you know, the whole saying,
Yeah.
happy life, happy wife, happy life. You know, you make those adjustments as a man. You just have
And
to learn.
you know
Go
the
ahead.
other half of that saying though, right?
What's that?
Happy man, everything's good in the land.
Okay. All right. Well, you know, I mean, there's
A real
there's
thing.
things for a whole lot of stuff that, you know, we can refer to, but I just know that I've seen I had a situation where I seen a man who just he drug a woman for many, many years. They had 5 or 6 kids, and she agreed with everything with him. This is someone that's close to me that I've known my entire life. He's older than me. But when that last kid got out of the house, she was gone. You know what I mean? She left. She totally left the whole situation because for all these years, she was never really happy. She was just content, and she did what she had to do to get the children out of the house and get them fed and, you know, get them ready for the world out here. And then she moved on with herself. So I've seen it both ways. I've seen it's not like back in the old days. It's not like back in the old days.
No, it definitely ain't like back in the old days.
Yeah, you know, back in the old days, there was people just getting married. You know, I have a neighbor that lives in my neighborhood, even here in 2022, bro, that has that's from a family. I think they're Indian, and they still have arranged marriages. And my daughters and I were just talking about that over the weekend during Father's Day weekend about arranged marriages and how that's still going on. And I just can't imagine me setting up my daughter, I mean, with some family member and not knowing who these individuals are, and my daughter just with them. That would be, you know, I don't understand that process, brother. I really don't.
I don't either. And I couldn't imagine being part of an arranged marriage. Like somebody come to me and be like, oh, you gonna marry her. I don't like her. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I
Yeah,
couldn't imagine that. I couldn't imagine
I
that.
wouldn't want to do that to my daughter. I mean, I think that's a disservice to my daughter. I think she should be able to choose who she wants to be with. Now, I might get in the lane and I might get in the way if she comes bringing some, you know, a certain type of character into the house. We're not having that. But as far as an arranged marriage, I don't think I can do that. I don't think I can do that to my daughter.
All right. And all right, first, before I go any further, 513-717-KING. That's the number to get on board. And what's your number?
I'm going to put it up here right now, man. It's area code 513-310-0546. Give line 1 or line 2 a call and add something to the conversation if you like.
And now when we talk about fathers taking care of their children and how important that is in light of Father's Day, you got to then get into this whole child support system, which is a whole different set of situations. I don't like the child support system. I think the child support system is too easily weaponized. And I think it's kind of crooked. But
Okay.
let me say this. I don't have a problem if you're a woman or a man and you have custody of a child that you got to take care of. And there's this other person who helped create this child and they are not doing anything to take care of this child. I don't have a problem with after you done talk to them and tried to work it out with them. If you got to go to the child support system and get some help to get some help, I don't have a problem with that just on its surface. But that daggone child support system, I'm telling you, it's weaponized way too much. And it's crooked, or at least it can be. It can be crooked. And I'm just not in favor of it.
No,
There's got to be a better way.
So, I mean, I always took this stance of I understand the process. We talk about this a lot over on Wyatt-Live about child support and all that. I say to myself, and to the listeners, I always bring up, bro, a system can't do you wrong if you're not part of it. And I'm trying to understand why people say that it's weaponized. Now, you and I had a conversation away from the microphone, and if you probably share that story with some people, it did truly give me a different understanding or a better understanding of how it's used. I just come from the land of this, bro, because I just look at it like this. Like, I feel like a father and a mother, if they can't work things out in a relationship, they still should be able to sit at the table and make arrangements on how we're going to do our child. That's my personal opinion. But listen, bro, I've been there too. Like I told you earlier, I had a situation where I had a child support order on me, and I'm like, whoa, like, for real? Like, I didn't get an opportunity to even sit at the table because what happened in my situation is an attorney consulted my wife when we went through our situation years ago and got her and filed child support orders on her behalf. For that was part of the process of the divorce. And I was not even given an opportunity to sit down with her and try to work something out on payment or what I'm going to do with my kids or custody, any of that. They took the bull by the horn and tried to guide that whole situation. And I learned a lot. I learned a lot about how that system can be weaponized just in your situation. If you tell people, I don't know if you've ever shared it with your audience, but if you tell people like what you told me, I would have to say, yes, that's a form of weaponizing the child support system against men.
And let me I put myself on child support because I was in a situation where I was taking care of children. Now I have one biological child, but I was raising 3. And I was taking care of multiple children, but their mother just was asking for ridiculous things with the threat of, well, I will take you for child support. So that's preemptive strike. I will take me for child support, and you will end up getting a lot less that way than you were getting this way. And so that was what I did. And I got the whole child support order. I'm paying child support, no issue. But then, she, for her reasons, decided to take me and appeal and try to get a year's worth of back child support. And, this is why I would suggest, like, what you saying sound good. I just sit down with the person, and if you 2 adults, you can figure out what to do, and you don't have to get the man in your business and all of that kind of stuff.
Yeah, but that's, to be honest with you, bro, let's just be realistic. That's probably not as practical as we sat here.
It's not practical, and it's not necessarily a safe thing to do unless you are, because you got to be thinking. It's like getting a prenup. Like, you don't go into I don't believe you go into a marriage thinking, well, what I'm gonna do if the marriage don't work. So you don't go into an agreement like, I agree, I'm gonna take care of my child. But what if she decides that she want to take me? Who thinks about that? So,
yeah, but that's a little bit different. It's a little bit different once the separation is in place and you guys are going in that direction. It's okay. I feel it's appropriate to sit down or try to make arrangements and say, hey, I'm willing to, this is what I can do. I can pay XYZ amount per month. And, versus having a court do the equations. Having the court, you don't need a court to tell you how much money you can provide to your children. You don't need a court to tell you how much how much visitation that you can get, or how many weekends, or how many days out of the month. You don't really necessarily need a court to do that.
You're right. And that sounds good until that other party decides, you know what? I'm going to say he didn't do this, and I'm going to say he didn't do that. And if you just taking care of your kids because you believe you're supposed to take care of your kids, I wasn't running around with receipts, writing on the receipt, this is shoes on this date for this, and this is money for grocery on this date, and I gave her $25. You know what I'm saying? And if you don't have that, And you find yourself in the situation I was in, paying a year's worth of back child support when you never missed child support.
So now go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
I was just going to ask you, how did they weaponize? I mean, how was it used as a weapon to you? Was it the threat? Did she come at you and was like, well, if you don't do this, then I'm going to take you down to child support? I mean, you were obviously buying shoes and groceries and taking care of the children. So
Yeah.
did she approach you like, if you don't do this thing for me, I'll just take you downtown? Is that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. And so I said, well, you know what? I just take myself downtown. And I went down and I said, this is my child and here's the situation. And they did whatever the calculations were. And they gave me a child support order. And I don't recall us going to court for like the initial child support order. I think I had to go down to JFS a few times. But again, it's been so many years ago, I don't remember the entirety of the process. But basically, I put myself on child support. And then, like I said, she had an attitude. And so she went and got a year's back child support, which was cool with me. And it wasn't cool with me.
Wait a minute. It shouldn't have been cool. You were paying that year that she got back child support. See, this is the weaponization right here. That year that you got put on back child support, that was the year you were actually taking care of your kids without any form of keeping all the detailed itemization and all that type of stuff, right?
Absolutely. And when that happened, we had a whole trial, like a whole, I guess, hearing. We had a whole hearing, and she brought all these witnesses who just flat out lied. I mean, said I had not even seen my kids in a year. And I'm like, my kids was with me literally every night of the week. I went and picked those kids up. I drove from downtown to Fairfield and then back over to Westwood, which is where I was living at the time, every night of the week. So to say he didn't even see the kids and they wouldn't let me, this was the part that made me mad. Like, I didn't get mad about anything else except for this. When we were, I guess, doing the preliminary hearing, and I said, well, this would be super simple because I'll just have the kids come down here and they'll tell y'all they was at my house every night. And the judge or magistrate or whatever her name was said, no, I'm not having kids come in here and testify against their mother.
Right.
And I said, wait a minute, because I told you I had a previous situation with the domestic violence charge. I said they didn't have no problem with them kids coming testifying against me for domestic violence. Why you got a problem with them coming here just telling the truth? So the kids wasn't allowed to show up, but like her mama showed up. Some dude that I never met or seen before showed up like, oh, I'm her best friend. And I was keeping the kids. And I'm like, that's a damn lie. And she was like, I'm gonna hold you in contempt. But that was just my initial, I'm like, I don't know who this dude is. And he's saying he was keeping my kids. Like, that's a damn lie. But she prevailed. It was cool in the sense that it happened. Whatever happened. I ain't got time to deal with it. All right, back child support. They did the whole payment arrangement. I was cool with that too. All right, payment arrangement, money coming out the check. I'm thinking in a year, because that was what they set it up, just so I was doing double child support payments. So I'm thinking in a year, I'm cool. I'm back on my regular child support. Well, just so happens that, at the radio station, the dude who was, I guess, over the child support portion of JFS was doing an interview with Lincoln Ware.
Okay.
I was asking him some kind of tough questions. And he didn't seem happy about me asking those tough questions. So he leaves. And about a week later, but by the date on, when everything was started, that next day, they put a lien on my car. They put a lien on my property. And I was like, what is going on? They tried to suspend my driver's license. They tried to get me put in jail. Mind you, I ain't missed a payment. I ain't missed a single payment.
So let me ask you, how long had you had already start paying in your rearage and paying the back child support? You were already in the process of doing it. You had an arrangement.
Yeah, I was about 6 months in.
And it was a 1-year plan?
Yeah. If I recall correctly, yeah, it was like a year. And yeah, I was like 6 months in. So just out of nowhere,
wow.
I get this thing in the mail. like there's a lien on your car, and I'm like, what's going on? And I,
did they just put that on E-Man, or did they do it prior and they just sent the information, the notice to you about it?
When I talked to the caseworker told me that this is the date that everything was initiated, and it was the day after that dude was on the Lincoln Ware show. I kid you not.
And he was a guy that worked down at Child Protective Services, or
he was the head of, I guess, the child support division, or however that stuff worked. He was. You
put a target on your back. What kind of questions were you asking him? I mean, damn, bro.
I was telling him, like, look, I don't remember what I was asking him, but I remember, you know, on the breaks, things was getting a little heated, and you know, he wasn't happy. And
that sounded like somebody that kind of had it in for you, bro. I mean, you know what I'm saying? We were talking earlier today, just off the air, about abuse of power, and some would say that was probably an abuse of power of his. I don't quite say it's abuse of power. I think it was, you know, once we had that conversation earlier about abuse of power, I think abuse of power is someone abuses the right to be in power. I know that sounds kind of ridiculous, but if you break a law or break a rule or break something, and that officer or somebody enforces a law, that's a little bit different than somebody that's abusing the law.
See, and that's we disagree there.
Right.
Using the analogy, if I slept with the police officer's wife and he finds out that I hit it, and you know, his wife is calling out my name when they making love, because
oh my goodness, bro.
And so he sees me driving, he picks up that that's me. That's the reason why he pulls me over. But that little light bulb, this show on my license plate is out, so he decided to give me a ticket for that. He abusing his power, even though he has a right to give me a ticket for that, because the light bulb is out. But that's not the reason why he giving me the ticket. And I say you are abusing your power if the reason that you are exercising that power is not the reason that you should be exercising that power.
Well,
even though you have a right to do it,
then that's not abuse of power. If somebody's issuing you a ticket because you broke a law, they have.
That's not why he's issuing me the ticket. He's issuing me the ticket because his wife is calling out my name when they making love. That's why he giving me the ticket.
Not because you broke a law. Not that because you gave him a probable cause to pull him over.
No. Now, if that's the case, because I believe abuse of power is all about, well, not all about, but for the most part, the reason why you're doing it. The reason why you're doing it. And if you
got to have a reason to be able to pull somebody over, right? You got to have a reason, a law or something. Now, here's a standard abuse of power situation. Is somebody, you're doing the speed limit down the expressway, and somebody knows that y'all been beefing since the 6th grade, and this guy's, y'all been friends, or not friends, but foes forever, since the 5th or 6th grade. He knows that's your car. That officer pulled you over just because it's you and he wants to mess with you. There may not be any probable cause of pulling you over. You didn't break the law. You didn't break the speed limit. You didn't do anything. He just pulls you over. That's abuse of power because he wants to torment you. He wants to mess with you.
I disagree with you.
You don't think that's abuse of power?
You using that, if he just follows me, again, his wife is calling my name. All right. And so he decided to just follow me around until I forget to put on a turn signal. He decided to just
now you said a light was blown in your car, which is probable cause of pulling somebody over, I'm saying.
But if that's not the reason why he pulling me over, you know that they come up with all of these pretextual things to stop you, but that don't mean that's the reason why they stopping you. And it can be, really evident that he didn't stop him because that little light was out there. He stopped him because he was black. He didn't stop him because that little light was out. He stopped him because he gave him the finger. He didn't stop him because that little light was out. He stopped him because of, whatever. Sometimes you can tell what these pretextual stops are But just because they find that that little light is out, don't mean it justifies the stop. And if that's the reason why they pulled me over and gave me the ticket, that's an abuse of power.
Well, I see it a little bit different. I mean, I understand when you come up with all these different things, you know, little scenarios. All I say is I think the abuse of power happens when there's no probable cause, when he creates a probable cause, or when he breaks the law, or he does something outside of his general power, if you want to call it power, his general job. That's when I think abuse of power comes in. I can give you a reverse. Like we got a person on Wyatt-Live named Tiffany Daniels. She's on it pretty regular, little sister of mine, and I call her black privilege because when she get pulled over by the police, they don't write her tickets. They don't write her tickets. So I say, you have privilege. You're black privilege. She said, well, yeah, I guess so. My thing is this: an abuse of power is that police officer who knows her. If you see me do the same thing Tiffany just did, we're both on 71 and we take we going down and we're 15, 20 miles over the speed limit. He does not write her a ticket, but he writes me a ticket. That's an abuse of power because he was really supposed to write her a ticket, but his judgment, since he knew her, that gave her privilege, but he abused his power by not following the law and doing what he was supposed to do by giving her a ticket. But he abused his power by giving one, it's called selective enforcement. And that's an abuse of power right there. You can't treat one person different than you can the other. If we did the same crime, we should get the same penalty. When you don't do that, that's a form of abuse. That's abuse. That's
I'm a little disturbed by your definition of abuse of power. Just a little. I agree with what you just said, but here is an example. And this is I don't remember all the details, but there was a neighborhood in, I want to say this was in like upstate New York or something like that. But again, I don't remember all the details. And in this neighborhood, a number of people from the neighborhood watch went and complained about a particular police officer. And I think they like went to City Hall and they complained about a particular police officer. So the next day, the police came out with rulers, writing tickets, like measuring the distance the tires are from the curb. Like a whole brigade of police were out walking this entire neighborhood, and it was on camera, walking this entire neighborhood, measuring the distance people parked from the curb so that they could give them a ticket. Now, using your definition, you'd say, well, they ain't got to worry about it if they didn't park too far from the curb. But if you park too far from the curb and they gave you a ticket, that's not abuse of power. But I say it is abuse of power because it was just retaliation. It's a way of saying to that community, don't complain about us. If you do, this will happen. No, they're not going to give tickets to people that they can't find a lawful reason to give a ticket to. But the fact that the reason you're measuring the distance people parked from the curb is because you want to retaliate against those people, that is you or your police department abusing their power. That to me is one of the definitions of abuse of power.
Well, I guess you could say it that way if everybody got tickets except for the ones that didn't complain about them. Yeah, you're right. But if they wrote the entire street a ticket who was out there like that, then, you know, I can't agree with that. You just said they wrote everybody a ticket in the neighborhood on that street. So even those that agree, I'm sorry?
They were sending a message, and that is not
but did they write everybody a ticket? The ones that agreed are those that complained about them and the ones who did not complain? Everybody got a ticket?
Everybody who
selective enforcement.
Distance from, I don't necessarily believe that that's the only way that one can abuse their power, because you're not supposed to specifically target anyone or anything because you want to retaliate against them. Trying to retaliate is using that authority that we gave you to retaliate against a person, a community, whatever. That is abusing your power to me.
Well, it's like the guy who came to the Buzz radio station. He was the whatever. He was an officer, obviously, of that department who could call some shots. And he made an adjustment to your plan that was policy driven. Like they can enforce that. Right? I mean, they could enforce that. That could have been something that your caseworker could have done or a judge could have done because that's normal procedure. And I'm talking about the back child support plus putting a lien on your property. They could have done that at the beginning of the hearing, the case. When it was concluded, when they came out with the outcome, they said you had back child support and here's the order. In that same order, the judge could have said, we're going to put a lien on your property or your car. And your caseworker could have done it too, right? But the person, okay, because it's their policy. This guy did not abuse his authority because what was on the books, the policies were in place already. Now, if he would have started creating some problems and creating new policies just to attack you, that would be abuse of power. That would, if he had influence to go in there and create problems for you that he had to create, that's abuse of power. But the case you just gave us of everybody on the street getting a ticket, whether they agreed or complained or whatever, that's just, I just don't think that's abuse of power. Abuse of power is when a police officer pulls you over because y'all had beef in the 9th grade and you doing the speed limit and he pulls you over just because it's you. And then he don't write you a ticket. He don't have probable cause to pull you over. That's abuse of power. That's somebody that's using their badge and their power to do something that they can do that's policy driven, but you have done nothing to where that policy it doesn't make any sense. I mean, you don't fit in the mold, whatever that policy, you haven't broken any laws for them to enforce that policy.
Oh my goodness. I'm distraught. I have to admit, I'm distraught that you feel that way.
That's what policies are put in place for. But if you break a policy, they have every right to do what they're going to do. Now, don't get it twisted. I'm saying selective enforcement is abuse of power. It's that way. You just use the street as an example. You just said everybody on the street got a ticket. Everybody.
Oh my goodness.
Right?
I can't. But why were they measuring? See, when you talk about selective enforcement, you have to then define what is the selective enforcement. And what the selective enforcement is, we're selecting this neighborhood because somebody from this neighborhood or a group from this neighborhood complained. And because of that, we are going to go and heavily enforce in this neighborhood. That is selective enforcement. Would they have had nobody complain? Would they have been there with rulers measuring the distance from the tire? No. So it is selective enforcement and it is abuse of power.
No, when you're breaking a rule, whether it's in a neighborhood, you're saying that it's selective enforcement because they chose a neighborhood, they had a problem. Like if they come to your neighborhood and they say everybody's complaining about people parking up on the grass. Now they come into that neighborhood and they're asking, all right, we're going to do this. We're going to do measurements. And anybody that's violating the law or that policy of whatever that neighborhood may be, I'm sure there's assured distances that you have to follow. And if they're measuring it, those that break it get it, right? You're saying those are the ones that got the ticket? Or did you say everybody got a ticket?
The ones who broke it.
Okay. So I'm trying to figure out how that's selective enforcement.
It's selective enforcement.
What am I missing?
Because the only reason that they were in the neighborhood giving tickets is because someone from the neighborhood complained about the police. Had no one in the neighborhood complained about the police, they would not have been in that neighborhood. It was retaliation for people complaining about the police, which that in itself, the reason why they were there in this particular case is what makes it an abuse of power. They were trying to send a message: you don't complain about us or you will pay for it. And that is an abuse of power.
So that's what happened in the child support situation at the radio station. You feel he abused his power because you asked questions I'm not arguing. I'm just trying to find where you find this abuse of power at. Since you asked critical questions of the child support division or whatever it is, you felt like he singled you out.
Hold on, let's get this call. Let's get this call.
Line 1.
Welcome to the show.
Yes. Yes, this is Mike calling in.
Hey, what's up, Mike?
Yeah. I think both of y'all got a point. I mean, yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
We can hear you.
Yeah, I think both of y'all got a point. I mean, but to me, your point being E-Man, I just believe that you can't prove your point. You know what I'm saying? So basically what Wyatt is saying is, you know, you can't prove that that's the reason why he stopped you. So how can you say that that's, you know, abuse of power?
Well,
I mean, versus a fact of, you know, if you did something wrong, then, you know, you can actually get that ticket regardless.
Well, but what I think happens, Mike, is I think I use the reasonable person standard. A reasonable person can look at the situation and say, okay, have you ever gone to a neighborhood and with a brigade of police officers and measured the distance with a ruler from the curb? Probably not. Why did you go to this neighborhood and decide? A reasonable person can look at it. Reasonable can look at it and say, yeah, they got complained about. And the next day they decided to come out with a ruler and measure every car on the street to determine whether or not they was given it. A reasonable person can look at that and say, yeah, that was retaliation.
Right.
Yeah.
But is it within inside of the range of what, you know, what he's able to do? That's the main question, I believe, which it's not outside of the realm of power that he has, though.
Thank you. That's my point.
If he took you to jail, and then you're not supposed to go to jail for a parking ticket, then to me,
thank you, Mike.
That's an abuse of power.
See, no. See, this is what y'all not understanding. You can't. I don't want to say you can't. If it's power you don't have, you're not abusing it. So the argument that, well, they didn't do anything that they didn't have the power to do. People typically only abuse powers that they actually have. So if you can't write me a ticket, then you can't abuse that power. But if you can legally write me a ticket, then there's room for you to abuse that legal authority.
I disagree. I'm gonna give you a perfect example of a person that can abuse power that has the right to write you a ticket. Someone that knows they have the right to pull you over when you broke no laws, but they do it anyway. And then they let you go because they were looking for something. The police do it all the time. They say, I'm just writing you a warning. Yeah, that's an abuse of power right there when you have not broke any laws, but yet they use their power to be able to.
What power are they abusing? The right to pull you over, which is a power that they have. So they're abusing a power that's part of a policy. The policy is to pull people over when they're breaking the law. The policy is the speed limit. Okay. And if you're not breaking that policy, they have no right to pull you over. That's an abuse of power if they pull you over. Because that's the power that they are abusing, which is the power that they have to pull you over. That's the power that they're abusing.
So this is my question.
All right.
So let's just say that something like that did happen, where, you know, a person got pulled over and you know, and let's just say in your definition, they were abusing the power. But you took that to court. I mean, do you think that the courts could do anything if that officer just said that he just pulled you over? If you came with the facts and said, me and this guy argued yesterday, and he pulled me over today and gave me, you know, a blinker ticket, I didn't have my blinker on, do you think that will still hold up in court?
Well, and this might become with
just the argument that you and that officer had an issue the day before, the day previous.
Right. See, this becomes the issue, which is why this is very important, which is why I'm so vexed. Because there's a really good chance that no, that argument would not hold up in court. But that doesn't mean that it's not a valid argument. We a lot of us people who are very reasonable understand that the court system is gonna, for the most part, side with the police, whether they are right or whether they are wrong. They're gonna give them the benefit of the doubt. That's why when a law enforcement official or any sort of elected or appointed official abuses their power, we should be outraged because the courts are going to defer to them. So while, yeah, if he pulled me over for nothing, but because, I slept with his wife, I go to court and say, Your Honor, he pulled me over because I slept with his wife. They're going to use the Wyatt defense, right? But what was that little light out above your license plate? Well, sure, but that's not why he pulled me over. Of course, they're going to give a benefit to the cop.
I think you just
that's what makes it so insidious.
I think you just using that abuse of power. I don't think that you should call it that. I think you should just say, he got a motive or something. The motive.
Right.
Yeah, you can't abuse the power.
Abuse of power.
I see what Mike is saying.
You know what I'm saying? I think it's a motive.
The motive
might have a motive.
That's what makes the abuse.
No, the abuse is them doing something to you that's not in policy.
Exactly.
I can't believe y'all can't do. No, that's not.
I see what you're saying. I see exactly what you're saying.
We understand you, E. We're just telling you that you having the wrong perspective. It's not the same thing.
You can't abuse a power that you don't have. I can't write you a ticket, Wyatt. Wyatt said something that I didn't like, so I wrote Wyatt a ticket. I can't do that. I don't have that power or authority to abuse. The reason it's called abuse of power is because it is a power that you have, that you abuse.
But you're saying that this power is being put in use without probable cause. And I'm telling you that if they have the reason to pull you over, you gave them the reason to utilize their power. Now, I'm not saying I see where you're coming from, but I'm telling you, bro, go ahead, Mike. I'm sorry, brother. Go ahead.
No, I'm listening to you because it's making sense. Both of y'all got a point. If the guy actually came out and said, "Man, I stopped him because of this,"
he's never gonna do that.
I know. Let me give you a power. Let me give you an abuse of power situation.
Oh my God.
You and that guy who wife you slept with or whatever, y'all been beefing since the 9th grade. Okay, whatever. He's a cop. He pulls you over. You're doing the speed limit, but you know for a fact that he pulled you over just because of who you are.
Mm-hmm.
The abuse of power is he has the power to pull you over because of the policies of the police department, but he's abusing his power because you didn't break a law. You didn't break anything. He's doing this out of self-malicious. He has malice in his heart. That's abuse of power, not because you had a broken tail light and
I got one question. So now let's just say, for instance, you did sleep with his wife, and then he pulled you over, but he was low on his quota that month, and he just needed a ticket. So how do you determine? How could he abuse his power when he just did what he had to do as far as the realms of the job description? So how is that an abuse? Because you thought that it was an abuse, but it really wasn't, because he was low on his quota and had to give you a ticket. So I'm saying, how do you do something to somebody outside of the realm of the power that you got? I don't understand.
Wait a minute, Mike. You brought a different perspective to it. If he pulled you over and you broke no laws and he gave you a ticket just because he was one away from his quota for the month, that's abuse of power.
No. I'm saying he's low on his quota, but he pulled you over for something that you did do that was illegal.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying. I'm saying, how do you determine, because he didn't do anything that's outside of the power range. I get what you're saying, and you could have did exactly what he said he did. He slept with his wife.
But understand this,
you,
Mike.
You still did something wrong.
Mike,
you had to do something wrong to get a ticket.
Mike, I appreciate your call. All right.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Understand this, Mike and Wyatt. And I know I've said this a few times, because y'all keep saying, well, he had the power to do it, which means he didn't abuse that power. Or you gave him the reason to do it, but he didn't abuse that power because he had the reason to do it. I know you know what a pretextual stop is.
Yes.
You can use a number of things as a reason to stop me. And you know how many laws we have just here in Ohio. I'm of the mind that if a police officer pulls me over today, as soon as I pull out of my driveway, he can find a reason. There is something in the law in Ohio that he can find to cite me for, because there's so many laws.
I don't agree with that. I don't agree with if you doing what you're supposed to be doing. If your car, you talking about like light bulbs and no seatbelt, or you talking about all these things.
Tire pressure.
Oh no, bro. Come on, you making up shit now. You said tire pressure. You said tire pressure.
Wyatt.
If you on the airwaves right now, if anybody has ever gotten a ticket for low tire pressure or excessive tire pressure,
don't matter if you've gotten it. Isn't there a law that you have to have a certain amount of tread on your tires? Like the penny has to fit in the right thing, right?
That's the shit car X people run on you. It's not against the law.
Oh my God. Yes, you can get a ticket for that.
Wait a minute. Hold on. I'm not saying that it's not against the law to have to have accurate tires. No, you can't go out. I mean, your car has to be conducive to the roads, right? That's safety hazards. Yeah, that's safety hazard.
And so what I'm telling you is there are enough laws out there that if a police officer just decide eeny, meeny, miny, mo, I'm pulling him over, he can find, if he go through your car with a fine-tooth comb, he can find a reason to give you a ticket. Most people.
Now, you know what, bro? I'm gonna be honest with you. You're right in a sense, but you lightweight taking the chaos agent approach to this with the penny in the tire and all that. That's lightweight chaos agent.
Here's why it's not. Here's why it's not, because it lends to what I'm saying. You're saying if that dude says eeny, meeny, miny, mo, and finds that my tread is somebody put less than 1/16 of an inch because he put the penny in there and it didn't go just right. Or
I'm trying to figure out when a police officer or anybody has ever done. Have you ever had that done to you? Have you ever had a police officer put a penny on your tire?
No, it's not the
point.
Maybe
at an accident scene. Maybe at an accident scene.
You're missing the point. You're missing the point.
I'm with you right here.
The point that I'm making is that just because the police officer wants to retaliate against me and can find a legal reason to abuse his power doesn't mean that he was right for abusing his power. Let me get this call in here. Let me get this call.
Okay.
Jason, you're on The King and I.
I've been listening to y'all a little interested back and forth. I'm kind of confused on how they don't understand abuse of power. Can I explain it a different way on the child support thing?
Sure.
If you had a standing order from a judge, the child support office has no right to go back in and modify that order unless y'all go back to court and it gets ordered by the judge. They can't just go and modify it. So you question, dude, he got mad, dipped into your affairs and changed it up real quick. What you didn't do was go back to court and say, hey, hold on, I'm following my end.
He has a point.
The power. He got salty, ran up in there, got in your business.
He has a point, but here's he said, Jason.
Yeah, Jason.
Can I stop you, Wyatt?
I'm sorry, bro.
Are you there?
Go ahead.
Okay, I only got a few minutes. I'm hiding in the closet at work.
All right.
You absolutely can get a ticket for your tread or your tire not being the right. If it's too low, they will write you a ticket, and it's going to be hard to prove that that's not what it was, because the officer is going to go to court and say that your tire was bald when he gave you the ticket. I've had it happen before. Only reason I beat it is because I had a receipt for the tires from a week ago, and that's it. Had I not had that receipt for the tires, all four, it was over. I was getting the ticket. But I'm going to listen to y'all response when I get back on the phone. Thanks for taking my call.
All right, Jason.
Good call, Jason. Great call. It sounds to me like if I'm not mistaken, he's saying he had a great point when he came up to the modifying the court order. See, it all depends on if it was a court order that was put in place of I know the back child support. I'm assuming it had to be a court order that came from a judge that said you owe 1 year of back child support. But what I'm saying is this: it may not be part of the judge's order, may not have been putting a lien on your property or your car or your home or whatever. That may just be their standard price. Once a court order comes, you owe them this money. So they have the right to go to a court or use the policy to enforce whatever they have to do to secure their judgment or whatever the judge may have said. So he may not have necessarily abused a situation that was put in place as a policy of Jobs and Family Services. Now, if he would have went in and modified the court order itself, that's a little bit different. But the court orders are never going, like, for instance, bro, if you get a judgment put on you, it's not a court order. It's nothing in that court order that says ABC company can't go down and file a lien on your property. The court order gives them the right to whatever the amount of money is, but it's up to the entity that you owe the money to go down and file the lien, not necessarily the person, not the judge. You see what I'm saying? So that could have been part of their policy, as once they get a judgment against you, now they can put a lien on what the amount of money that you owe. They can put that lien on whatever you owe, whatever you own.
Why, I understand what you're saying. I just disagree. And what I don't understand is how you and some of you out there don't understand what abuse of power is. It is frustrating me to no end. But I want to move on. All
right. Well, maybe we'll get some responses a little bit. Maybe people will give you a clearer understanding of how certain things. I just want to say this last thing on abuse of power.
Right.
It's only abuse of power if that police officer or whoever does something out of the policy, out of the policy norm. If it's already put in place and they forgot, or they, like, for instance, the guy from the child support services, he may have looked at your folder and he may have said, "Oh, I'm about to make it real tough for dude because we didn't do what we normally do with people that owe us money. We didn't put a lien on things." He might have just been combing through what he could do to make things difficult for you. And if he would have done something that was different outside of their normal procedure or policies, that could have been abuse. But the fact that he implemented something that was right there for them to do to you, that's not abuse of power. And I hate to say it, bro, because I don't want you doing or paying some shit like our lien. You got to pay the money, but the lien, if you 6 months in paying good, it was probably not necessary. But he didn't do anything that their policies don't allow them to do.
Wyatt, I'm pretty sure that their policy doesn't allow him because he's mad at being made to feel uncomfortable in a studio. I'm pretty sure the policy does not allow him. The policy does not allow you said, I bet he went down there and looked through, like, how can I make life tough for this dude? As soon as you formulate that thought and act on it, you are abusing your power, because that's not the reason that you're supposed to be doing whatever it is.
I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying, but you got to look at it for what it really is. Nobody can do anything to you if the punishment, let's just say, if you don't do anything to get punished, it's only abuse of power when someone creates a situation. Yeah, bro, like, you didn't do anything to get punished that way. He took y'all conversation personal, right? That's what you're saying. If you wouldn't have had those questions posed to him at the radio station or whatever, he wouldn't have thought of you. You would have went on life without paying, you would have paid the back child support, but you wouldn't have had to pay there wouldn't have been any lien on your properties or anything, right? But what I'm saying is, even though he wanted to make life difficult for you, he didn't break any rules or break any policies from the company. So that's not abuse of his power.
No. Okay. I'm going to let it go. I'm gonna let it go. You're wrong, but I'm gonna let it go. All right.
Okay, maybe so. Maybe so.
But
What's next on the agenda? How much time we got? We got about 10 minutes, 15 minutes, or 10 or so minutes.
all right. Today is the official celebration of Juneteenth. The official celebration is today. Where are you at on Juneteenth?
Well, honestly, I was okay. Let me start because I just became the bad guy for my take on your abusing power. So I might as well continue to be the bad guy here. All right, listen, I somewhat have an issue of the symbolism. Okay. I grew up in Cincinnati, Ohio. In the 6th grade, I went to a school called Cincinnati Community Academy. It was an all-black school in Madisonville. If you guys remember the Kellys who were the Kellys in Cincinnati, they owned a private school. It was like a charter school back in the day. And it was like us learning our heritage every day. Every month was Black History Month for us.
All right.
We stood up every morning and did the Lift Every Voice and Sing song. We learned every speech from Malcolm X, from not Malcolm X, pardon me, Martin Luther King and some Malcolm X. It was a very strong school of heritage, okay? And I was always taught that the proclamation was the celebration for us. It was 1862. Okay, I was always taught that. And I was also taught that we fall for a lot of symbolism. And I think that Juneteenth is an excellent thing, but I just think that we have to keep in perspective that, like this, we became free in 1862. 1865 is when Texas was informed that slavery is no longer allowed in America. So I'm trying to figure out why Texas was the only state. Maybe a caller, maybe somebody can school me. Why was Texas the only state? Why did it take Texas so long not to follow the rule? I think it was abuse of power because they could. You see what? Because they could. Why was it so long to relinquish that thumb they had on us? You know what I'm saying? Why did it take them so long? Now, keep in mind, communications was different. Communications was different. They didn't have emails, fax, and not even a postal system. But I'm just trying to figure out, why did Texas get away for 3 whole years before they had to send the regiment down there to let people know that Black people were free? What's your take?
Well, hold on. Before I give you my take, what difference does it make? Why? I mean, like, so you don't believe that we should be celebrating Juneteenth, or are you saying we should be celebrating Juneteenth? Where are you?
I just think it's the same. I think it's okay to celebrate Juneteenth, but I think we need to put it in proper perspective. I mean, I remember we were talking off the air, E-Man, and you said something and you were like, I don't think that we're free until we're all free. And that's what posed the question to me. It's an excellent point. It's a hard argument for me to make. I'm just telling you how I was raised. Sure. I was raised that we were free in 1862, not 1865. And that was a consolidated incident of the 1865 and Juneteenth celebration. My biggest question is why why Juneteenth 1865 versus 1862, and why is America giving us this symbolism like that's our freedom, when in fact we still have challenges today that meet some of the issues that we had back then? Is it a way of satisfying us, pacifying our questions, making us feel like we're part of something now? There's a million questions that go through my mind on this thing. And I know President Joe Biden made this an official holiday. I mean, there's just so much there that I just grew up knowing differently. And I just feel like it's something that's put in place for us to believe in. and I don't know if it's genuine, to be honest with you.
Well, here's to answer what I think your question was, and this is not some historical whatever. This is just me trying to, be reasonable with regard to the way things are in the world. The reason it took all that time is because I'm certain that the slave owners in Texas knew. I'm certain they knew. The slaves themselves may not have known, but look, if they tell me you free, but that's going to cause any sort of a hardship for me, you can't read. You ain't, you know what I'm saying? You ain't got no Facebook account, you know what I'm saying, to be able to just look and say you ain't following the news. So why tell you? You're gonna stay a slave until somebody make me not, make me free you. So that makes sense to me as to why. Just because I don't want you to not be my slave. And if you don't know, ain't nothing you can do about it. And even if you do know, it might not be nothing you can do about it. So that makes sense to me why. Now, I have an issue with Juneteenth only in that I don't know that it should be a celebration. I don't know that it should be parties and all of that kind of stuff. And this is just my personal feeling. I'm not telling you you're wrong if you go to a party or if you throw a party or a celebration. I'm not telling you you're wrong. Right. I think it should be more of a solemn commemoration than a big celebration, because it was the end. I'm gonna say the official end, even though I think that's where your argument is, that the official end was in 1862. So this was well after the official end. But that was why I say this is, and I understand people saying this is the official end, because even though that was what it was, until we all free, we're not free. So then once word got out that we were all free to the last person, all right, you free, you free, you free, you free, you free. And I'm still sitting over here working like a slave. You know what I'm saying? And then somebody come up to me and say, oh, they didn't tell you? Bro, you free. I'm like, what? I'm free? Yeah, now we all free. So I understand that's why you commemorate or you celebrate Juneteenth. But I like the idea of it being more of a solemn commemoration, remembering all of those people who suffered and toiled in enslavement for all of those years, all of those lives lost, all of those families ripped apart, all of the indignities and the disrespect and everything that came along with it. I would love it if it were more of just a solemn, we're free from the bondage of slavery, and we want to look back and celebrate the lives lost and all of that tragedy, as opposed to give you party and fireworks.
I'm going to give you one little thing that kind of hit me. If you just celebrate a Juneteenth 1865, to be honest with you, it takes the power away from Proclamation 1862. 1862 Proclamation tells you the history more so than 1865 does. That just announced the freedom. 1862 Proclamation explains what they're freeing you from. And that has more power to me, because then you knew the conditions, you knew the dehumanizing, you knew the conditions, you knew the fact that we were as cattle, so to speak. The use of us. The proclamation took away all of that. Okay. And that explains more of the struggle to me personally. People may not agree with me because they may think they may not think that they may think that I'm looking past 1865. That's part of that symbolism. If you give somebody something, they may not worry about other things. That's where I have a personal problem with, because if you concentrate on something and they lighten it up or water it down, you don't really see the severity of other things that may have taken place.
Let me say to Ross Freeman's point that he's making, and I've heard this argued many times, and I guess I kind of agree with it. The Emancipation Proclamation did not free slaves. Because that's a legal thing. Is it the 13th Amendment the 12th, 13th, 14th Amendment. I'm not good on all my numbers, but that is what actually freed slaves. That's an argument that I've heard many people make.
Proclamation is an answer, though. A proclamation is an answer to it's an answer. Like when you go to court and you write a or like for instance, what Wade and Roe and Wade are doing right now. You know, there's an answer to a law and or an amendment. And I think that proclamation is that answer. I think it was something that was put in place. Now, I'll be honest. I don't know if Abraham Lincoln wrote it himself or his advisory board or whoever he had around him. That was the answer to that problem. And then that's what implemented it to the Constitution. You see what I'm saying? So I never said that it was a law. I said it was illegal. It stopped slavery and made it illegal. That doesn't necessarily mean that's the law.
But that's what I'm saying. I don't know that it stopped slavery and made it illegal.
14th. I think it was the 14th Amendment, if I'm not.
Yeah, but I think that's just kind of to the point that Mr. Freeman is making. I can proclaim whatever I want to proclaim right now. That don't make it so.
See, that's what he's saying also on here. He knows what I think we're on the same page, Ross Freeman. He says 14th Amendment made all contracts legal. So I think that's what he's referring to as the proclamation not being a law, but it's like an answer. And that's what provided it to be not necessarily the law, but it was an amendment to the 14th is what that's how I kind of see it. I could be wrong, but that's how I see it.
But yeah, I would love to see it be more of a commemoration. But again, I'm not saying anybody's wrong as a celebration because different people do things different. You know what I'm saying? Somebody, I know a brother who, when he got divorced, a lot of people be sad. This brother wore a tuxedo. He wore the tuxedo that he wore to his wedding. He said, to that final hearing, he wore that tuxedo. I said, you a fool. And he was like, man, this is a celebration. This is the worst situation I've ever experienced. And I'm getting out of it. You know, I'm a dress up. I'm going to do everything. The way I celebrated getting married, I'm going to celebrate even harder getting divorced. So yeah, different people handle things different ways. So I understand people who like, you know, hey, we celebrating freedom. But for me, I would like to see it be more of a solemn commemoration.
And more would come out of a commemoration. Now we're just getting to a point where I just think, and I got a caller on the line, by the way. Hold on, caller. I just think that sometimes when you add barbecue and you add a bunch of playtime and whistles and bells and shit, it take away from the seriousness. That's just me. That's how I feel. I don't know about a celebration. I think it should be more of a commemorance, like you said. I don't see them out there doing whistles and putting balloons in the air for wounded killed soldiers in war. It's a commemorance. It's to a serious time that you don't play with. That's just me, and I just think that's the way we should take this as well. Yeah. Hey, you want me to take this caller?
Yeah, let's do it.
Good evening, caller. This is Wyatt and Emmanuel, King and I. Who am I speaking with?
Darlita.
Hey, Darlita, how you doing?
Fine. I agree with your comment as far as making it a commemorative, like Memorial Day type of thing. Okay. I don't understand why we are celebrating it when they treated us like crap for another 100 years, to be honest.
Okay. I mean, I think E-Man feels the same. I don't know if that's why he feels the way. I don't want to put words in his mouth, but that's how I feel. I feel that he's on point. I think the brothers, you know, he's right on point when he says it should be a commemorance. I think to sit out and have
did you read what I just put in there? I'm sorry. I got the problem interrupting. Where I read that slavery legally persisted in Delaware and Kentucky and to an extent in New Jersey until December 18th, 1865.
No, I don't see the comment, but can you say it again real fast for us?
I had read online, don't know if it's true or not because everything online, but it said slavery legally persisted in Delaware, Kentucky, and to an extent in New Jersey until the 13th Amendment, December 18th, 1865. Okay. So there were still states that had it legal outside of June 10th.
They still had, you mean slavery was
slavery.
legal?
Yeah. That's what I read. Now, whether it's true or not.
I don't think that's necessarily true. I think when
Do you know if it's true or
no,
you
I
just
mean,
don't know?
No, I think what happened is when it was an amendment, when it was transferred to, I think it was the 13th Amendment. I could be wrong. It's 13 or 14. I don't know my amendments.
I couldn't remember 13, 14.
Yeah, but if I'm not mistaken, I think that amendment, I mean, you know, that was supposed to cover the entire United States of America or the entire union. And if you really think about it, that was my biggest question of why did it take Texas so long to implement what the United States of America was doing?
Wait a minute. Okay. So was Kentucky in the union and New Delaware?
Yeah.
So what I read, it said they still slavery legally persisted till December 1865. So that's past the Texas thing.
Yeah, I mean, you can read anything. That don't necessarily mean it's right. But I just based on the amendment and what time that the law was put in place, what you read wouldn't make sense to me. I mean, it was even illegal to do it in Texas. They just weren't following the law. They weren't following the law.
Right. So that's what I'm saying. That's just something that I read that's interesting. I don't know whether it's true or not.
Yeah, well, I don't think it's true. That's just my personal opinion. I think that there was a law signed off by the President of the United States that ended slavery, and I think that I think that Texas was one of those states that just didn't follow the law, and it took the regiment, it took the troops to go down there and let people know 3 years later. And here's my other question, E-Man, about that. Do you think that it was a difficult, because you know there was a serious trade of slavery in Texas during this time, okay? And families had formed, and they were slave families. Do you think it was a little hard? I mean, do you think some of these families were in a situation where, okay, slavery has ended, but what do we do? You know what I mean? You've done things generation after generation. Some people, and this is as untasteful as this is for me to say, some people may not have had any other choice but to stay in the conditions that they were in because they didn't really know anything other than that. When you can't read and write, when you don't have any family that's near you or moved up north and you lost touch with them, it's almost like, what do you do at this point? What do you do?
Do you honestly believe, though, Texas was the last state? That's just what you read, written by white men anyway. But you actually believe...
Did some black people read? Did some black people write what you just read about Delaware?
I don't know.
What you talking about?
It's something that you can look up too.
I ain't got to look that up. I'm asking you a question. You asked me a question. You asked me a question. Do I really think that Texas was the last state? And I'm telling you based on, well, wait a minute.
Based on this country and the lies and the crap they undone.
Forgive me, King and I. Talita is a regular on Wyatt-Live who tends to argue with anything and everything that I say.
The same stuff in history is always rewritten. They're going by a certain date and they'll tell you.
You just said that you
believe that. I know. I'm just saying it's something I just read. I didn't know about either.
So why defend it? Why come on and say this is like what we doing over here is some different shit? I mean, I don't understand where you're going with it. Like,
I'm not saying, look, I believe that Texas wasn't the last state, and I still believe they held slaves illegally afterwards. That's all I'm saying.
In Kentucky and Delaware. That's what you're saying.
No, that's what I read. I don't know. Again, I think they held them in different places. They're just telling us.
But hold on. Did white people write that you read?
Did white people write what you read?
No, I'm just asking.
Who wrote that? No. Who wrote what you read? Who told you to celebrate Juneteenth? Who told you to celebrate? Was it a white person or was it a black person?
Listen. Let me explain to you. What did you hear me say on my take on Juneteenth? Did it sound like I'm in a celebration mode for it?
Who told you to commemorate it on that day too? Was it a black person or white person?
It's not a commemorance. It's a celebration.
Well, okay.
That's our whole point.
Now, who told you to celebrate it? A white person or a black person?
I think our community has embraced it. And I ask questions about the 1862 versus 1865.
We embrace, but who told you who told our community to embrace it?
Joe Biden.
A white person or a black person?
Joe Biden. How about that? How'd that sound to you? Joe Biden he signed it into law.
Well, he signed it into law, but they were celebrating it before it was into law.
It was not a federal holiday.
I understand that.
Okay, so Joe Biden signed it as a federal holiday, so that's the white man that we need to look at.
I bet you don't even know who you know.
Juneteenth was something that we celebrated within the black community.
$1 million. You don't even know who brought that on. Anyway.
Wait a minute. I bet you $1 million you don't know.
I didn't ask that. I don't know.
Who? I'm sorry, y'all. Go ahead.
I said, do you know?
Wait a minute. I'm not gonna sit here and play let's answer question by asking a question. You asked me a question.
I did, but I had asked you a question first.
And you asked me if a white man wrote the Juneteenth celebration situation, right? That's what you asking me?
Mm-hmm.
I'm telling you that I'm not even in favor of it. So why would you attack me on what I know and what I don't? I don't understand your questioning. It sounds like you're just being abrasive, like you just want to argue with some shit. This is not Wyatt-Live. We trying to do things on a different level over here, and I don't want. I don't want.
You said you don't embrace it or celebrating it. You said you want to commemorate it.
All right, E-Man said he got.
I don't believe that's the date. It should be commemorated either. We only go by certain facts by just what we choose to believe.
Okay, so E-Man's gonna try to answer your question for you because I can't. I don't have that answer.
No. I said I kind of like this. Y'all go ahead, and I just want to know who owe who $1 million because I just heard two $1 million bets, and I want to.
She's gonna have to sue me for the $1 million, but I'm just saying, like, I don't know where this is coming from, bro. I really don't. I mean, I'm used to this type of shit from her, but I'm not really understanding the question.
Got to be type of shit.
I'm just saying, you know what I'm saying, sis? I guarantee you by the end of this conversation, we saying the same thing, but she just wants to argue. I don't get it.
I'm not arguing. I'm not yelling. I'm not arguing. Why you put it like that?
Because you amp me. You know, every time we
let me say this. I did also read somewhere something about Delaware. I kind of Googled it while y'all was talking. Something about Delaware and something or another. I don't know either of which is fact and who wrote it and all of that kind of stuff. But my question becomes, what difference do it make if we selected or somebody selected June 19th, 1865 to be the day that we celebrate, commemorate, remember, or whatever? What difference do it make the accuracy of that particular date? Isn't it more important the premise that we're celebrating or commemorating the end of official slavery in America?
We endured so much crap afterwards, so I don't see a celebration of crap yet until they stop the shenanigans that they do anyway. I'm not celebrating crap. This country still has a lot to work on. So they throw us that crap, to make us happy?
Well, I don't know necessarily to make us happy. Like, it sounded to me now like you saying your premise is, look, I'm black in America. I can't celebrate nothing. I can't be happy because there's still something to work on. But don't you celebrate small victories along the way? And for some people, that motivates them to keep moving to the next victory.
I didn't say stop enjoying life. I just said this is celebrating some things. Yes. But this is our culture. This is tradition or what they teach you. This is what they, implement to you. And then it becomes commercialized. At the end of the day, it will become commercialized.
Well, it's that already, and she's right about that. She's absolutely right about that point. That part right there, the commercialization, you're going to have not as many black folks will capitalize on this. You've even seen the situation, E-Man, where Walmart brought out a ice cream of some sort that was Juneteenth, and it will be commercialized. And black folks, once again, probably won't be able to
get commercialized if we let it get commercialized.
Well, it's been done.
If we like what Walmart tried to do, and my fear is it will be commercialized, because even when Walmart tried to do what Walmart tried to do, I saw and heard a lot of black people criticizing black people for saying, we don't like that and we don't want that. So it only gets commercialized if we let it. But my fear is, not only are we going to let it become commercialized, we're going to embrace it. And like you said, we won't be the ones making the money off of it, but we'll embrace it for whatever strange reason.
Right. And that's probably that's one of the bad tastes I have in my mouth about the whole situation. Like you said, it should be a commemorance versus a celebration. A commemorance makes it more of a serious study down, open the can of worms. Let's find out what really happened. There's plenty of stuff that happened to us that we still don't know about today. There's a whole history of hidden information. And if you're celebrating, you're not asking questions. You just jumping up and down and taking off work and having parties, and you're flying flags, but you're not asking a whole lot of questions. You're just.
Now, can I say one thing?
Yes, sure.
I know I interrupt. That's my problem. I still got to work on it.
Go ahead.
It's Iman. Is that his name? Iman?
Emmanuel Livingston.
Eman. Okay, man. I like what he did, even if we don't disagree. What you do is different than what he did. At least he took the time to look up what I was talking about versus arguing with me, which you do, and say my fact is concrete.
No, all he said is he pulled up something.
Like whatever I think is right, I'm gonna stick to it. That's why we had a disagreement.
Delita, what I do with you is I asked you to pull up your information. I asked you to pull up your.
He did it.
So what? I asked you to pull up your information and where you get it from. That's all I asked you.
And I do tell you where I get it from half the time.
Okay, and you say half the time. You say half the
Most
time.
Most of the time, nah.
Boy, if y'all don't know, I go through it.
I'm just saying, at least.
All I want to know is if you're getting reliable information. The internet is full of information. Some of it is real good and some of it is real bad. And all I'm saying is if you're going to bring some information to the platform or to a conversation, make sure you're using a reliable source. That's all I'm saying. I say that
about you too.
I know.
I don't know who the hell your sources be sometimes.
Okay, so Juneteenth is the same.
To some certain sources that's
okay.
Truth,
all right, we about to go there. Your truth, we about to go there. Okay.
No, wait. Can we not go there? Let's part on a good note, because I think really what the most important thing that was said during this particular portion of the conversation was, Emmanuel, you're better than Wyatt.
Now see, you took that, and no, I wasn't saying that. See, you can really, a person can.
You the one open that can of worms.
No,
you went against the grain,
and maybe that's just how you felt.
You got played.
I can't help your perception of it. All right, that's not what I meant.
You got played, and see, that's what happened when you go against the grain, and that's what you get. That's what you get.
I didn't get played.
Yeah, he just spun your whole situation.
No spin. I just said that was the most important. She said a whole lot of good stuff, but that was the most important point.
Don't encourage this behavior. Don't encourage this shit. I'm telling you, it gets bad, bro. I mean, I haven't smoked. Listen, I haven't smoked weed since I was 16 years old, and I'm 3 times that number now, probably. And she has gotten me off I'm in the middle of a conversation and I'm like, where is a lighter? Give me a joint. I need to smoke something, because the leader just will have you way out going in another conversation. And I just don't need that today again. But this time,
the leader, we will be here every Monday, unless something else come up. Every Monday at 1:00. Please feel free to call in every Monday.
Oh, I do. I ain't trying to ruffle your feathers, Wyatt.
I hear you. I hear you.
But I'm at the point where I want you to convince me. That's where we be at.
So I got to convince you by possibly giving false information based on bad resources. That's what you want me to do?
No, you be having bad resources.
Like sometimes. What? Be specific. Sorry, I got to go here one time. Just give me 30. It's going to be more than 30 seconds, but I got to go here one time. Let's be more specific. What was?
Oh, like you said, one person only got killed in the January 6th. So where'd you get your information from? Right? You were supposed to look that up the last time we talked.
Here we go with the January 6th.
No. You asked. Hold on. See that? Did you just see that? He asked me a question and I answered it, and now he gone. What was that about?
I just said, here we go with some January the 6th
that was one of the
conversation.
things that was brought up.
And when we were talking about who got killed at the Capitol the day the Capitol riot happened. And I said there was that girl Babbitt, whatever her name is. She got shot by a Capitol police officer.
Right.
And that's who died on the scene.
More people that got killed.
You said it was like 5 people. You said there were 5 people that died that day.
I did not say. I said 4.
Okay. Well, you
said
said
4. The
5th
one died the day after, 2 days, whatever. That was through suicide or whatever. And they say it was because of that incident. But I said it was 4 people that died that day. You said it was 1. You hadn't heard no other number. That's what you said. What
I'm saying to you is, I know for a fact that 1 person died the day of the what do they call it? Resurrection or whatever. What do they call it? you know, the day that they insurgent, right? The day that they went in that building, there was 1 reported death, and it was the girl that got shot by the police officer in the building at the door.
There was more than 1 reported death that day on that property.
On that property,
maybe not inside, but on that whole event.
Okay.
On the steps, outside, whatever.
Yeah, you know those people names by now. You gave me the names of them too. You done your research on that, right?
I did that. Right. I gave you the names, and you were supposed to.
E-Man, had you heard anything about that?
Don't pull it back on me.
No, I'm just telling you what was reported.
So your sources are bad. So you only go by your source, which is bad because it's not true.
No, I don't think so. But anyway, what you got, D?
See?
That's your caller.
No, it ain't. That's your caller. Even though
it's cool with me. I'm just, hey, bro, like I told you. Delete it. What else you got?
Oh, nothing. No,
sure?
I think
so now let me ask.
I think we should embrace and respect each other every day, not just these holidays. I think we should respect each other as human beings and celebrate life as human beings.
I agree with you, but now let me ask you this one question, because we were talking about Juneteenth. Is that something that you feel is something we should be celebrating? I kind of think I know the answer to what you're gonna say, because what you said before.
No.
Yeah, she said no. She said no.
She said no. Okay. All right. I just wanted to get back. You know, I was shook a little bit from the long conversation, but I wanted that detail from you. If you felt like it was something that we should be. Do you agree with E-Man?
No, I don't.
Do you agree with E-Man if say that it should be a commemorance versus a celebration?
I don't know about that one either.
Okay. Well, I think it would be more of a commemorance than a celebration. I have to agree with E-Man on that.
All right.
Okay. Delita, you got anything else? We about to get on up out of here.
No. Yeah, go ahead. I'm not gonna hold y'all up.
All right.
Nice talking to y'all.
Appreciate you. Thanks for tuning in with us, and hopefully we'll see you next Monday if E-Man can make it.
Sure. I'm gonna mail you a lighter too, so you can light your joint up next time I call.
You gonna mail me a lighter? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Appreciate you. That's Delita. She kind of come off a little crazy, but she know what she's talking about. She cool with me. We have fun on Wyatt-Live when she's on with us. I mean, she can steal the show. We have a great conversation, and I think she just gets combative sometime, E-Man, on purpose, man, just to get her point across. So
Wyatt, I know we got to get out of here, but before we get out, one thing we had this discussion earlier today about judges, people protesting judges, and I just disagree with your position. Wyatt was saying that that judges should not be subject to people protesting in front of their homes. That in some way, shape, or form, either it is or it should be illegal. Can you just, for me, try to help me understand your position there?
Well, you're talking about Supreme Court judges, and the right to protest is one thing, but the right to protest in front of someone's home, specifically a judge, whether it's Supreme Court, municipal, common pleas, those things are outlawed in America. That's in writing. It's Title 18, 1507.
The Title 8.
That for a fact. It's a law to protest, to influence. All I do is Google it. It's against the law to protest, to influence a judge. Now they're crossing a thin line with what they're doing on the Supreme Court judge.
Give me that again. That was Title 15.
It's Title 18, 1507.
Title 18. 1507. Yes. All right, I'm gonna look that up.
And what happens is this: like, look, I believe in protesting, but I believe that you're supposed to protest decision. You can. Once a decision's been made, you can protest that. Here's what happens. There has to be a level of security for your judges, and in a court system, you can't protest a Supreme Court's home for a decision. You can't influence a decision. That's what that is.
And it shouldn't influence a decision in the sense that if that's the law, that's the law. If that is the correct, or at least your perception of the correct interpretation of the law, that is the correct interpretation of the law in your opinion. But tell me this. We are, and again, I typed it in and I'll look it up when we're done. But the idea that the sidewalk has for a long time been considered a traditional public forum, right?
Well, it all depends on where you live. Some sidewalks are private property and some are city owned. Okay. It all depends on where you live.
Right. If it's on private property, the game changes. But if you live in a area that's not a gated community or something like that, and the sidewalk has for years been considered by the courts traditional public forum, correct?
Yeah.
And so if you don't live in a gated community or something like that, if your house is on a regular old public street and there's a sidewalk or an easement in front of your house, why would that not be considered a traditional public forum because you happen to be a judge?
Well, I think what happens is I just think that there's certain privileges in life, right? I mean, people aren't going to like what I'm saying, but there are certain courts and certain people that should not have their livelihood, such as their families, threatened. I mean, you know, there was some person just arrested the other day for possibly, killing a Supreme Court justice, and that shouldn't happen. And they have to have a sense of security. I'm all for protesting, but I'm not about protesting at some. Look, go protest at the courthouse where the decision is going to be made. But
or in any traditional public forum. See, I agree with you, Wyatt. You shouldn't be able to threaten really anybody, but definitely you shouldn't be able to threaten a judge, a Supreme Court justice even. And so if you're out in front of a Supreme Court justice's house threatening to kill them or harm them, kidnap their kids or any nonsense like that, you should be arrested, you should be prosecuted, you should be convicted, and you should be sentenced to whatever it is that you should be sentenced to, whatever is appropriate. I'm with you on that. There's a difference between if I go protest in front of a judge's house, but I'm not threatening them because they feel uncomfortable with me being there. That's not me trying to pressure them to do anything. I look at it like this. You're making a decision that will probably inconvenience me, make me uncomfortable in many facets of my life. While you're weighing that decision, I want you to weigh that decision, understanding what it feels like to feel a little uncomfortable. That don't change. If that's what you believe the law says, don't change it. But a lot of times, when people put themselves, even to a small degree, in the shoes of another person, it will change their perspective on a thing. So if I can make you feel a little uncomfortable, not threatened, a little uncomfortable, See, I'm gonna feel you gonna make this decision, and I'm gonna be uncomfortable a lot because of your decision, because you think this is what the law says. But this is like my way of making an argument. I'm not in a courtroom, so I can't make the argument that, hey, Your Honor, put yourself in my shoes. But I can come to your house and I can make you feel a slight bit of discomfort. And just maybe
it's a different discomfort. It's a totally different situation.
It is a different discomfort, but discomfort is discomfort. And maybe you feeling that discomfort, maybe you'll say,
will influence your decision. It's a threat. It's a bully move, bro. That has nothing to do with how it has nothing to do with the decision or not. Everybody, look, let me just throw this out there before people think I'm being on some bullshit. I'm pro-life. I believe that women should have the right to do what they want to do with their bodies, whether it's abortion or whatever. I'm pro-life. I'm sorry, pro-choice, pardon me. I'm pro-choice. You have the right to do what you want to do. That's just how I stand on it. But I'm also a firm believer that you shouldn't try to go to somebody's house and have a threatening way of influencing their decision. And that's what's going on. You can't do that. It's a law. Matter of fact, let me do this because a guy asked, who was that? I think it was Roz who asked what law it was. It may have been him. If not, it's Title 18, 1507 in the book. Okay. Here is the thin line that's going on. I believe that you should be able to protest as well, but I don't believe you should protest to influence. That's a bully tactic. That's why people are out there with babies with blood on them, blood on the legs, drums, and threatening situations, just like the man that was arrested over there. That's not trying to make somebody uncomfortable. That's a bully tactic, bro.
I don't know that again, we just gonna disagree, I guess, on what is threatening and what is not. Because if you come and protest in front of my house, I won't like it. But unless I have, like, again, reasonable person standard, unless I reasonably believe that you're threatening me, I don't know that I can call it threatening. So we just disagree about what's threatening and what's not. But I don't believe that being on the sidewalk, even in front of a the judge's house, is and or should be illegal if it is a peaceful protest.
But that's not what's going on.
You shouldn't be threatening people.
So just because you don't have physical form, because you may not have a gun, the things that you can say on signs, the way you represent your train of thought, the things that you represent and you put it on paper, the la 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 songs that you sing, the murderous things that you shout, those are forms of intimidation. Those forms of intimidation are being used to influence a judge. That is totally against the rules. I'm sorry?
What are they shouting?
Well, I mean, you baby killer, we kill you. Things. Excuse me?
Baby killer.
You didn't hear the hook. Baby killer, we kill you. That's a form of y'all killing babies, we'll kill you. You don't think that's a form of a threat?
I would have to hear that because it could be construed as a threat. It could be construed as you don't think people in the temperature that we have in America right now, when you're holding signs up with all of the judges, like the judges on there, and you got them behind bars, you have them laying next to caskets on these pictures, you don't find that to be threatening? What would you do if that was all the little babies' caskets that you killing?
Well, no, at the same time, they have these Supreme Court justices sitting and laying next to baby caskets. Or not baby caskets, but caskets. I find that to be a little threatening, bro. Listen, I'm all for protesting, but there's a place that you're supposed to protest. The reason why it's so funny that you have this position. I'm sorry?
Traditional public forum on the sidewalk has always been considered a traditional public forum.
Yes, the sidewalk. But it's not appropriate to go to this person's home. They have a law preventing that specifically on the books. It's not just a regular person. These are Supreme Court justices.
I don't know. Again, I have to read it, but I don't know that that law is specifically preventing protesting.
Yes, it specifically says for for federal, municipal, and common pleas judges. That is a law written specifically to prevent influence, protest. That, yeah, okay.
That's all I'm saying. I got to read it. I don't know. I mean, I hear what you're saying,
but okay. So let's just play devil's advocate, and let's just play like I never gave you Title 18. Let's just say that it never came up. Would you agree? Would you agree that if there's a law on there that specifically says that you can't protest outside of a judge's home, would you agree that they're doing the wrong thing right now? If there's a law that says they can't do it.
That's a loaded question. So allow me to answer. It is.
Based on your belief, it's easy to say, you know, no, it's not a loaded question.
It is. And allow me to answer. You asked, if there's a law against it, do I believe that what they're doing is wrong? Those are two different things. So what they are doing might be illegal, but not necessarily wrong, because I believe that there is a difference between legal, illegal, and wrong and right. So it might be illegal if there's a law against it, but I feel like if there is a law against it, those same Supreme Court justices should be looking at that law saying, that's not constitutional, because one of the main things that we guarantee in the Constitution is the right to protest.
Yes, and your right to protest is not taken away, but there are conditions. There are certain places. I mean, just think about it, bro. Think about if you and I was doing this show and we had a certain belief, or we had an opportunity to talk about something. How would you feel if, when we were talking about abortion, like, and we were at a studio, you were down at the Buzz studio or whatever, I would feel like a protest to get you fired if you said something that pro-lifers didn't like. I feel like they have every right to come down to your job and protest in front of the radio station and say, we want him fired. But I don't think they have any right to come to your house, protest outside your house to tell you that you're thinking wrong. You shouldn't be able to come to your house and try to protest and change your influence of how you feel about the situation. That's what I'm saying.
I wouldn't like them coming to my house. I wouldn't like it at all. But as long as they ain't threatening me, they not on my property.
But that's what you're missing. There are forms of threat. A man just got arrested and charged with felony possession of a weapon with the intent to use it on a Supreme Court justice. That's not enough.
No, that's one man threatening is not enough to take away everybody's right to protest. Take that dude away. But you don't say, hey, we were at a peaceful protest and one dude threw a brick. Now, none of those people should have a right to protest.
Well, no. they do it in other situations. They've done it for us for years. Somebody just came on here a little while ago and made a comment. I forgot who it was. I would really like to see who it was. They said that the KKK did it to us outside our properties all the time. See, that's not a peaceful protest. There was threatening. When you burn a cross, that's a form of threatening. Okay, when you sing songs or you say intimidating verses or you say intimidating things, that's not a peaceful protest. That's not that at all. And you can't even compare the KKK to what's going on to this. You can't put all protests in the same bucket and call them protests. They're not all the same thing.
I agree with you, but what I'm saying is, number one, if said law does exist, I believe it's unconstitutional, but those Supreme Court justices will never interpret the law to say that it's unconstitutional because it protects them, and they probably value their comfort over the constitutionality of a law. So that's number one. So the law itself, which I will read, but the law itself being there doesn't necessarily move me one way or the other. Number two, if the people are in a traditional public forum and they are peacefully protesting, I don't see a problem with it. Look, I know in this country we revere people. He's a judge, he's a this, he's that, and we revere them and we want to protect them. And I don't like that. Okay, you're a Supreme Court justice, you steal some dude, you steal some chick, and you don't get to insulate yourself even at home, from being uncomfortable with the decisions that you make that make other people's lives uncomfortable. So the fact that I agree with you, Wyatt. If people are out there with weapons, something that you shouldn't be allowed to threaten people, no matter what the threat is. You shouldn't be allowed to threaten. I agree with you on that. But if I'm out there with my sign, with my fake fetus, with blood dripping down my leg, and picture of you next to a row of baby caskets, that is not me threatening you. That's you not liking it and you being
that's not all that's going on, though, man. But I give you that. I will say, look,
I haven't seen.
Here's the thing.
Of all the video that I've seen, I haven't seen anybody yelling, "Hey, Clarence Thomas, I'm gonna kill you."
Have you seen those protests, bro? These protesters don't look like you and I. These people look different, bro. This is a different situation. Y'all can get mad at me if you want to, but they some different folks. They're not out there like what we were. Like it's not the Black Panthers out there fighting for our rights or protesting our rights, bro. These are some different type of people. I'm telling you, these are the same folks. That's like, it's the difference. These are the same folks in Cincinnati that were out Planned Parenthood. And, I say that I never seen any of those same Planned Parenthood protesters out at the house of those doctors that were performing abortions. I only seen the protesting going on over in the Clifton area. Just, I say that if you're going to protest something, you should protest it on the grounds that it's being delivered on. That's just how I feel. If you're going to protest something that the court is talking about, you should go to the courthouse and send your message. To go to somebody's house, it's more than just protesting. You're lightweight on some bully mode. You're trying to influence and you're trying to move them by a threat. You're at their private property, and you're right. You're trying to intentionally make them feel uncomfortable. But I just don't think that's appropriate to be at their home to do that when you're doing this. Your job is this. This is where you did it. It's like, would you go to your local mayor's house to protest something, or would you go down to City Hall and do it?
I don't see a problem doing both.
I don't think that you should go to Aftab's house if you don't agree with something he's doing. You go down to where the decisions are being made. That's just how I feel about it.
And I understand it depends on how egregious whatever it is that Aftab decided to do. If Aftab decided to do something that affects me in such a personal way, I don't have a problem going to Aftab's house affecting him in a personal way.
Let me say this, because a lot of people are saying this. And look, I'm just telling you the law that's on the book. I'm not saying that I want people to feel like I'm not saying that they shouldn't be there because of any other reason other than there's a law. I understand how important it is for protests. We have gone a long way in this country due to protests. What I'm saying is, I don't think that if there's a law on the books, I think it's unsafe. I mean, the law was put in there for a reason. It wasn't just there. It's there for a reason. And the reason is to prevent influence. Now, let me just say this to you. I feel like this. If I do something and it is influencing other people, this is hard for me to say, bro. Like, I'm pro-choice. I just think that there's a lot of intimidation going on down there by reading those signs and some of the things that they passing on. They've already arrested 3 people, and I just feel like it's an endanger for the judges. Now, it was somebody said something. This was what I was about to address. Somebody said that these people should feel safe, that these judges should feel safe because the police are there. I want to just say something to that. I don't think that those judges are even at their homes right now. I don't think that the judges are living there. I think the government or whoever is paying for them to be somewhere else while this process is going on. But now let me ask you this. How fair is it, E-Man, for the neighbors of the people that live in that neighborhood, and your protesters are walking up and down that street just for one person? It's not right. It's not fair to the people that live in that neighborhood, that they have to endure all of that shit for what a justice who's probably not even at home is going through. How would you feel if your neighbor was going through this? If you had people outside your neighbor's house banging drums and stuff all night, and you have nothing to do with that, that shouldn't affect your life. You're innocent. You don't have nothing to do with it.
Here's my take on that. It's a real simple take. Just like I remember when the boycott existed, they put pressure on businesses. The reason the businesses didn't have the policies that they had issues with, but what the mindset behind it, from my understanding, was the businesses are the engine that makes the city run. So if we make the businesses uncomfortable, the businesses will go to the city and say, hey, fix this shit. Hey, fix it. If I'm in the neighborhood and my next door neighbor is Clarence Thomas, I probably know Clarence. And I'm going to be like, bruh, what y'all doing, man? Come on. Y'all got these people outside my house. Yes, I'm sorry you live in this neighborhood, but you live in this neighborhood with this monster. And I need you as a neighborhood, you as people. If you don't like what's going on, I'm sorry, you put the pressure on him and you tell him, make this right. So I don't have a problem. Look, you live there. You reap the benefits of living next to the Supreme Court justice, because you
what are the benefits of living next to a Supreme Court justice?
You know your neighborhood is safe. You know robberies ain't happening in your neighborhood. You know that stuff ain't going on because the Supreme Court justice lives there. So you reap the benefits of living next to a Supreme Court justice. Then when things go bad,
let me just say this, bro.
And if you want things to change, if you want me to go away, you talk to Clarence.
The point
that
you're making, that they're safe being in a neighborhood with a Supreme Court justice, what's going on right now totally debunks that whole point you just made.
Not at all.
Because a guy just got arrested with a handgun who had all intents of being in that neighborhood and doing some severe damage to one of the Supreme Court.
And this is why it definitely does not debunk that. I can guarantee you that there's a dude in my neighborhood right now with a handgun with intent on doing damage to people. He not getting arrested today. But if he in the same,
I don't understand the parallel. I don't get that one. I didn't get that one.
I'm gonna help you get it. The point is, a dude comes into a neighborhood with a gun. He gets arrested. A dude comes in my neighborhood with a gun, he's free to walk around with the gun. The point is, the Supreme Court justice's neighborhood is gonna be safe. They gonna make it safe. You're not going up in there with a gun. You're not going up in there making threats. They don't care what happened in my neighborhood. They don't care what happened in Sally and in Jesse's neighborhood. But in Clarence's neighborhood, they gonna make sure you're not walking up in here with no gun. So the fact that there was a dude there and he got arrested because he had a gun shows that they gonna make sure that neighborhood is safe.
Well, he had a manifesto. He had more than just a gun. He had a roadmap of what he was gonna do. You know, we can spin it and make it about my neighborhood versus your neighborhood and all that. But the bottom line is, I just don't think that it's appropriate for if there's a law. If there's a law, it's not appropriate for these people to be there to influence the decision that a judge may make. That's what the law is pertaining to. And where they're drawing a line on being able to be there is the fact that they're moving. They can't stay. Somebody said obstruct. Okay. That's the fine line. The only reason why these folks have not been arrested yet is because they're not obstructing the home, which means as long as they're not standing stationary, that they could move up and down the street and do whatever they want to do. Okay. But that doesn't make it right. It's just, I think that what happens is when you start pushing these fine lines, I mean, I'll give you a perfect example of what I'm talking about. And you better be careful how much you agree or disagree what's going on right now. Because folks, if just in case you don't know, for those that do know, there is a new justice that will be starting. I think she started today. Well, wait a minute. No. I think she starts in another few days. Yeah. But happens to be a sister. So what happens when certain special interest groups go outside her house and start wanting to protest and do the same things that's going on now? What are we going to say?
They got a
right. What are we
going
to say as a people? Because I know what the hell I'm going to say. I'm going to say
they got a right to protest.
No, I'm not. I'm not going to say that some special Proud Boy group or some old KKK group has the right to assemble a protest in front of a sister or who has a certain feel about certain rights of people, and she has to make a decision, and they're going to say, well, we can do what the last group did. I'm not for that. And especially if you see some Proud Boy or some white dude get arrested for having a gun with a manifest with the intent of shooting and killing her, every brother and sister in this country is going to want all of that protest moved down the street or in another neighborhood. I know I'm going to be first one to say it. I'm going to be the first one on the train and getting that shit up out of there.
I'm going to say, look, if you're a known domestic terrorist group, you shouldn't be out there. You shouldn't be able to go out and protest. But if you are just some dude and you are out there protesting, you got that right. And if I feel like it crosses a line, then guess what? Maybe me and Wyatt and what was the dude name who wanted me to remember his name? I can't remember him. Early in the show, drop. We can all get together and we can form our own thing and go out and counter protest to protect Miss Jackson. But I'm not going to try to take away.
Well, let me ask you this. Let me ask you this. What about those white dudes that just got arrested because of what they had on them and they were going to a protest? I don't know what they were called, what special interest group they were or whatever, but they were around the corner from an LGBTQ parade or organized function, and they all got arrested by the government because it looked like they were about to interrupt their protest or what they were doing. You got to understand, man, there are groups like that will sit up in front of the new Supreme Court justice, and they're gonna be there for certain topics and subjects. And I think what'll happen is we'll come back, we'll circle back to this whole conversation if it ever gets to a point where there's people protesting outside our home. And I think the same people that feel like this ain't no big problem on this one, they're gonna have a different take when you see a bunch of people outside with signs outside their sister's home, and she's in the middle of a decision. I just find it to be a little pressurous. It's a bully tactic. And then I know how I feel about she's going to need extra security. She's going to need safety. And they're trying to influence her. I just think that it's going to be a problem. And if we let one thing float by because it don't look like us right now, we're going to have that same problem when it start looking like us.
See, that's my take. And you got a right to believe that, but I disagree with you. I wouldn't have a problem. Now, talking about the dudes in the U-Haul, again, they had a whole according to reports, they had a well-written battle plan. See, that's different than going and protest. Hey, you pulled me over. I got a battle plan. All right, you're not going to protest. You going for something different. But if they just going to protest, I won't have a problem with it.
Yeah, but those are the same guys that we got to look out for. Those are the same guys that's going to feel like they have the right to go protest in front of their sister's house, and they're going to find somebody just like they found that man that was going to kill the Supreme Court justice. I don't want it to happen, brother, but I'm just saying I see a consistency in that type of behavior because most of those people that are involved in those type of things, I don't know if you've seen these protesters, but they're not the regular, they're not you and I. They're not our listeners. They're not regular people. These are people that somewhat have, and I know people are going to be mad at me for saying this, but they have cult-like behavior functions, man. I mean, they just don't think normal. And they willing to sacrifice themselves for the cause of something that they deeply believe in. And when you start opening up the door for people to get real close, I'm sorry?
That's why they give them protection.
Well, no, if you really think, I don't think that they're in the home, but I don't think that they should have to have that type of protection. There's a level of security that you're supposed to have as a Supreme Court justice. And I mean, it's a lifetime appointment. It's just certain things that they're allowed to do, and they're going to be privileged, But along with that privilege comes some things that they have to be protected a certain kind of way. And when you allow people, I'm telling you, when his sister gets up there, she's going to possibly face this same situation. And I can hear the outcry now of what we don't want her facing. And I just don't want, I think if you erase that problem right now, like it should be, I just think that we won't have to face it. It'll be an easy swipe off if we control it, maintain it right now. She won't have to go through this.
Yeah, I don't like that. I think it's part of the job. It's part of the job.
I don't know if it's necessarily part of the job. I mean, nobody went to, I mean, how many protests do you see outside of the White House that don't get removed? They get one opportunity to show up, and then what happens? They're moved.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, you get so much opportunity to be there. Look at the White House protests.
I see protests outside of the White House, and my guess is, and this is just my guess, if Joe Biden right now lived on a public street, if his house was on a public street, you could go on the sidewalk and protest. As long as you're not threatening Joe or obstructing traffic or getting on his property, you should be able to stand in front of Joe Biden's house and say, bring down gas prices, or don't cut out the free lunch, or stop sending money to the Ukraine, or whatever it is that you want to say.
Is there a reason why you don't think you see that at the White House right now? You don't think people feel that way? You don't think protesters would be out there if they was willing, if they allowed it to happen? I think that would be out there.
I think, and I'll have to, I think you do see protests outside the White House. Now they've closed off.
It's for a limited time. It's not something that you can do like you're doing the Supreme.
Yeah, they've closed off the area right in front of the White House in Pennsylvania Avenue because they don't want that. So yes, they've done that, but I think people should be allowed.
That's a level of protection. That's a level of protection. They did
it. Don't make it right.
No, I know, but what's the reason? Why would they do that? It's a level of protection, right? It's a level of keeping a certain perception. It's not to influence someone in a decision. Joe Biden deserves the same. These Supreme Court judges, they deserve the same amount of protection as Joe Biden. Joe Biden's not making the decisions that he get a lot of flack for shit that he don't have even a say-so in. These particular people are making they're making a decision, and they're interpreting a law and making a decision. They're more influential in what happens in America than the president is. So they deserve more, or at least the same amount of protection.
Joe Biden.
Hold on, Mary Myers' sister comes on from our show. She says, Randall Wyatt, they got you brainwashed, calling them protesters. Stop it already. They are domestic terrorists, Proud Boys. I'm not sure which one she's referring to, but I don't think I'm brainwashed when I call people protesters. That's why you see me do this. There are a group of some people who are real protesters, and then there are some people that I call paid chaos agents that go out and protest. So maybe she'll be more specific on which group. Or is she saying that I'm calling Proud Boys protesters?
Yeah.
Well, I don't. Did you hear me say that? I don't think I said that the Proud Boys were protesters. I said, what if groups like the Proud Boys came out and said they were doing a protest and they took it too far? You know what I'm saying? I don't think I ever called the Proud Boys protesters.
Well, I think that was where the confusion was. She perceived that you were saying that the Proud Boys and whatnot were just protesters like any other protesters, and they should be able to go to Miss Jackson's house.
Got you. Okay, that makes sense. Well, let's see. Let's see here. Michael D. Baller Sr. says that's why it sits so far from the sidewalk. Protest is legal. Well, no, I think what happens is based on that Title 18 situation, it clearly says that the protest can't be set. It can't be in a set position. It has to be, you have to be moving. So you could do it across the street, but you still have to be moving. I forgot exactly how they worded it. I'd have to pull it up again. Let me see something. I seen another comment. I don't know who this is. I can't see it, but is it Lewis Johnson? He says, y'all only agree with it because you hate Clarence Thomas. If them people did that to Tracy Hunter, you would say it was illegal and it should not be done. That's kind of like what I'm saying as well, because soon as that's wrong. I know. No, I'm not saying he's wrong. I'm saying
he's wrong.
I got you. I got you.
If there were individuals or even a group of people and Judge Hunter, heck, even right now, if they were protesting in front of her house, I wouldn't like it, but they got a right to protest. And I would say, get out there and protect Judge Hunter if you don't like it. Because in this particular case, the police, I don't believe, in Cincinnati would protect Judge Hunter. They would let somebody just go up to her house with a gun and try to do something. So that's the difference. The police don't protect those Supreme Court justices. They were not going to protect Judge Hunter. So that's the difference. But I would say that my stance on it is simple. People have a right to protest if they're on the sidewalk. They're not threatening people. They're not causing a disturbance or anything like that. They have a right to protest. I'm not saying I'm gonna like every protest. If you protesting against something that I like, I don't like your protest. If you protesting for something that I don't like your protest. But me not liking it is not the same as me saying they shouldn't be allowed to do it.
I agree. I think protest is supposed to be, what it is. I mean, I'm just talking about where. There has to be a reason why you would even instill a law or implement something like Title 18 because of the influence that you're trying to take. I mean, there's just a level of safety is what I'm talking about, E. It's not that I don't agree. Listen, I don't even agree with what those protesters are saying out there, okay? Because those are I believe they're pro-life protesters. I'm not mad at them because they're against, they're
pro-choice. They're pro-choice.
Are they pro-choice? Because I've seen both, to be honest with you, bro. I don't know which ones they're referring to that they want to move away from there. Because to be honest with you, both sides can get crazy. I mean, both sides can really get crazy. The ones that are trying to save the babies and the ones that are what they call save the babies and the other ones that are like, hey, women have choices. It's my body. And it's like, both of those sides, if you're getting out there watching these protests, both of them can get a little rowdy and crazy. And here's the other thing. What if they get into a combative situation where the two protest groups meet and they're outside this judge's or this Supreme Court judge's home and it gets combative and it just gets out of hand and crazy? You see what I'm saying? I'm sorry?
They got law enforcement for that. They gonna protect those people.
It's not a matter of protecting those people, so say. It's the things that go on, like I wouldn't want to have a protest outside your home, bro, because it'll affect your neighbors and the people you got going on. So once again, you made a comment. You said, so that's even better. So that's your neighbor. People will come over and talk to you. See, that's part of the intimidation. That's part of the manipulation. That's part of the bully tactic. That's part of the let's get some other people in their head so we can get our neighborhood cleaned back up. Let's get this shit on over with. That has nothing to do with the decision. You're trying to influence the decision by making it inconvenience for that individual who lived there. It has nothing to do with your purpose of feeling the way you feel. It's what can I do to make it uncomfortable for this person?
But using that logic and that reasoning, if I can't protest, like a part of the reason for protesting is to get your message across. So if the idea is there's a law that says that you're not allowed to try to get your message across to a judge, that sounds crazy to me. That sounds like it's a direct violation of the Constitution.
The Constitution says that you can protest. Okay, that's definitely in the Constitution. But there are limitations on where you can actually hold protests. I mean, it even says it on public. I mean, you know that from public and private property, right? Yeah. So that's a limitation. I mean, I don't know the situation about if their home is in a gated community and if it's private property, it's obviously not, because they would have handled that a long time ago. So it's obviously private property. I'm sorry, public property. But that all being said, there are still, they would be gone if they were stationary. Basically, the rule is they can move up and down the streets and blah 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 across the street, move up and down. They can't stationary their protests. And I think there's a reason why it's like that. I just think it's a reason why it's like that.
I don't like that. That's all I'm saying. It might be a law. And like I said, there's a distinction in my mind between what's legal and what's right. And
I understand.
And
I understand. And I love the fact that the people that you rock with are saying, put me on the sit and spin and all that. I just want the same thing. I want that same energy, Raj, when the sister got to make a decision and we got all these white folks up there outside her house and they're bringing out these signs and they saying this and they saying that, and a man gets arrested outside her property with a gun with the intent of killing her. I want that same energy. I want to know how you're going to feel about all those people being outside her house and how safe and unsafe it is for her personally. I just want to hear that.
And me, I'll say, I don't like it. I don't like it. But they got a right to do it. Except for the gun part.
I just think that when you're, it's like, it's not a matter of if it's right or wrong. It's a matter of what makes it right and what makes it wrong. What's the true intent? Is the intent to get a true, fair judgment or answer?
Yeah.
Or is it no, it's to influence. They're there to influence the decision.
But what am I trying
They're
to
not
influence?
there.
What am I trying to influence?
You're trying to influence the decision.
I'm trying to influence the decision to be the right decision. It's different when you're talking about like something financial. I'm not trying to influence to get a financial windfall or something like that. See, that's what I think that's about. But even if you told me the Supreme Court was watching this, yeah, I want to influence the decisions that they make. That's why I'm protesting. Yes, I want to influence. I want to make them uncomfortable as a way to influence them and hope they think about this level of uncomfortability so that they don't impose that on me. Yes, I want to influence. And to create a law that says that anybody shouldn't be allowed to desire to influence is ridiculous to me. Ridiculous. You trying to influence me right now to see the flaw in what I'm saying. So
and you know what I'm about to do? You know what I'm about to do?
Try to influence Emmanuel. Come on.
You know what I'm about to do? I'm about to call every chaos agent I know, and I'm sending them to your property right now. And I'm gonna have them stand outside your door, and I'm gonna have them tell you the truth about this. And I'm gonna let you know. I guarantee you the energy will be different. We're at the top of the hour, E. I gotta close out, but I guarantee you that the energy will be different when that sister get in the situation.
They can carry them away. Have them bring a pickup truck. I cut down some branches. They can put it in the back of that pickup truck and carry it away and come on back. I got a lot of work for them to do.
Well, I just think that the energy will be a little bit different. And I just don't want to see something happen. Here's the thing, bro. I grew up in an era where I seen protests. I went to the Million Man March. There's just a lot of things that I understand the power of the march. And I understand that you're supposed to get certain things out of the march. There's certain things you're supposed to get out of the protest. And as long as it's peaceful, I mean, you know, I understand. But bro, some of the representation that they have outside these people's house, this Supreme Court justice, it's not good. And keep in mind, I don't have this opinion because I disagree with what they saying. I think everybody has the right to their opinion. I just think that it's not the appropriate place to voice. And I know this is going to sound like, oh, you trying to limit people's access. I'm just saying from safety to a whole lot of other reasons that there are certain places that are off ground. There's just certain things that are off that you shouldn't be able to do in order to do what you do. I mean, to make your point. That's just it. You can be just as effective doing what you're doing when that Supreme Court justice has to walk into their office every day. You can be just as effective by them walking past you every day. Here's the thing, bro. If those Supreme Court justices are not even in their house every day, if they're not even there, they stand at the Four Seasons downtown and they're not even going home. All this is a bad situation for the people that live in that neighborhood, and they're just disrupting those folks. It don't have nothing to do with the Supreme Court justice because they're not even there. It's like this. When we had those unrest in the city of Cincinnati, and we were marching on a Sunday from Fountain Square to the courthouse. What was the point of that? Nothing was open. The courthouse wasn't open on Sunday. See what I'm saying? But we were still sending the message of this is where we here as the people on Fountain Square, and we're marching to the courthouse where the message is being stood. Where look, that's what they did. They marched to City Hall, on a Sunday. Was there anything in session?
No, that wasn't the point.
What was the point?
The point was just a show of unity, a show of strength, a show that we don't agree with the way things are going on. Everything, and even that is meant to influence.
But they didn't go to the decision makers' homes. The city of Cincinnati protesters could have went to the city. They could have went to the mayor's home. They could have went to the people that
in Cincinnati. I've seen the people in Cincinnati go to judges' homes. I've seen it.
Yes, I've seen it too. And I've seen them taken out of there. I've seen it. I've seen support. I've seen support for Judge Tracy Hunter out at her property. Not at her property, but at the judge who sent her to jail, who made that decision. I seen people out at his property because they were making that decision of sending her to jail. It was up in the air if she was going to be found guilty or not of charges. He received letters, he received home visits, and that's just something that, I don't know if that's appropriate, but at the same time, I think going out there is wrong. I just don't think going out there is right. I just don't think it's right.
Wyatt. Bro, you got to get out of here, man.
Well, you know what, man? Hey, listen, let me just say this before we go. Once again, I appreciate you giving me your time, giving the opportunity to express some of my thoughts. Everybody won't agree with me, but I appreciate the fact that people will give me an opportunity to say what I say. I hadn't really put a lot of thought into that last topic. Maybe if I think about it a little bit different, maybe I'll change my heart. I don't know. I'm just looking at it from a protective standpoint of what's going to happen when the new sister gets on the bench and she has to make this same type of situation. She has to make a call, and we're going to see people outside her house. And I think that's going to be an issue. And I think we'll have a different sense of energy when it happens to someone that looks like us. That's on that. The Juneteenth situation, I appreciate you hearing my point on that. I think you and I kind of agree with that. I agree with you. It should not be a celebration. It should be a commemorance. I agree with that 100%. I'm still waiting to find out why in the hell it took Texas 3 years to release their slave rules or laws in that state. I'm still trying to figure that one out. What else did we do?
Yeah, you were very, very wrong about abuse of power.
No, you were wrong on that one, but that's okay. Even Mike called in and made it make sense. I understood what Mike was talking about. Me and Mike,
I did not understand what the hell Mike was talking about. 80%.
Mike, I got you, bro. You was on the winning team on that. I got you on that one, bro. Thank you for understanding that abuse of power is when someone abuses the power by using it when it's used when they have to create policy. That's all I could tell you on that, bro. Now, I'm going to say this, and then I'm going to get on up out of here. I know that people were waiting for us to argue. Drop was waiting for us to argue. I'm not really in the arguing business. I don't really want to do that. Now, I will hold my ground and stand on my circle when I feel a certain way, and maybe that day will come. But for right now, I don't think that we're too far away on certain things that I think with the conversations we have, we're not that far away on how we see some things. But I enjoy the show. Hopefully it'll stick around. Hopefully our sponsors will allow us to stick around a little longer and allow us to make this thing bigger than what let's just be one of them hot podcasts in the city and take this thing to another level. I'll let you close us out.
Hey, Wyatt, I appreciate you spending the time and us getting it, mixing it up and having dialogue. I've always said this, whether I was on the air, behind the scenes, whatever. I've always said I believe in dialogue to make people think. I don't care if you agree with me. I don't care if you disagree with me. As long as we talking and we thinking, we good. We'll get there.
I agree. I agree. Now, after your folks then all dog me, I got a few of my people that rock with me who was like, great show. So, my folks over on Wyatt-Live, we're family and we tend to stick together even when some are right or wrong. And they're going to rock with me regardless. And I appreciate you guys for being here, all two of you. But that all being said, I'm just kidding, y'all. I'm just kidding. Thanks for coming in. Thanks for holding us. And listen, if you feel any different or thought I was wrong, just hit me up in a DM and let me know how you feel. And we can work it out, bro. Like, this is what we need to do. We don't need to go to no firing ranges. We don't need to be walking out with our face and our chest is all swole out. Let's have conversation. Let's try to agree to disagree sometimes. But for the most part, I think we can always work it out. So, E, I'm going to let you close us out. I appreciate everybody having me here. Thank you. Thanks for giving me the time. Appreciate all. Great
and
show.
As always, I hope something amazing happens in your life today. Until next time, I'm the King.
And I'm Wyatt. And I'm I. See you guys later, man, on the next one, man. Thanks for being here.